天启篇，自然状态下野蛮会吞噬文明。In the natural order, barbarity overcomes civilization. Jiefeng, December 10th, 2024. If you sow wild grass seeds and wheat seeds together on the same piece of land, then return after a few years, what will grow more abundantly, the wild grass or the wheat? If a wolf cub and a human infant are raised together without any external intervention, which outcome is more likely? The wolf cub becoming human, or the infant turning into a wolf? If an adult is placed among a group of thugs and lives with them for 3 to 5 years, will he emerge as a refined gentleman, or will he turn into a thug? If Elon Musk had been immersed in Confucian culture from childhood, would he have become today's globally celebrated technological Iron Man, or a staunch cultural conservative? There is a profound truth in nature. In the natural order, barbarity overcomes civilization. A person living among scientists is likely to become a scientist, while someone living among thugs is likely to become a thug. If an angel remains surrounded by devilish influences for an extended time, the angel will likely become an accomplice to the devils. Civilized people are easily captured by barbarity, while barbarians are exceedingly difficult to civilize. The more primitive, barbaric, ignorant, backward, and crude something is, the stronger its survival instincts and resilience. If a particular culture endures for thousands of years without falling, it proves that the culture possesses a strong capacity for corrosion and assimilation, signifying that it is relatively barbaric, ignorant, backward, and crude, rather than advanced and civilized. Recognizing the principle that barbarity overcomes civilization in the natural order, anyone aspiring to become a civilized person should vigilantly avoid the following 8 pitfalls. Avoid working or living in barbaric and backward places as much as possible. Avoid places that are closed off and unfriendly to outsiders. Steer clear of unreasonable and barbaric people in your vicinity. Distance yourself from those who cling strongly to traditional ideologies. Gravitate toward advanced, open, and civilized places. Seek the company of civilized individuals. Avoid losing your temper or complaining. Instead, focus all your energy on moving closer to civilized places and communities. If you cannot escape a barbaric or ignorant environment, strive to maintain independence and adhere to civilized principles to the greatest extent possible. Living in a pigsty for a long time will eventually turn you into a pig. Living in a sheep pen for a long time will turn you into a sheep. No matter how diligently one practices or cultivates in a pigsty, one cannot become a celestial or a Buddha. If one's consciousness is burdened by notions of marriage, family, nationality, religion, political parties, or the pursuit of money, power, and fame, then no amount of effort will lead to heaven. Walking toward heaven is the most valuable and the wisest choice in life. 人类人生篇，人生到底有没有意义? Does life have meaning? Jiefeng, December 25th, 2024. On the internet, many people claim that life has no meaning. Let us explore whether life truly has any meaning. In a pigsty of 10 pigs, an old pig said, "Life as a pig has no meaning. We spend our entire lives in this sty, doing nothing but eating, drinking, sleeping, and rolling in the mud. There's no other purpose." A boar replied, "There's also mating. Mating is meaningful." A piglet chimed in, "Drinking our mother's milk and playing with my siblings in the sty makes life as a pig very meaningful." Hearing the pigs discuss the meaning of life, the pig farmer couldn't help but laugh. He thought to himself, "What do you know about the meaning of your existence? Your purpose as pigs is to grow fat so that I can slaughter and eat you." A Buddha overheard the pig farmer's thoughts and found them laughable. He thought, "Raising pigs is your duty, but slaughtering and eating them negates your merits. From then on, you'll have to start over from zero." What is the meaning of life as a pig? All the pigs knelt before the greatest creator and pleaded for answers. A deafening voice echoed from the heavens. As pigs, your existence is to repay the debts of your past lives, where you lived recklessly and harmed other living beings. By living as pigs and settling your debts, you can be freed from this existence and reincarnate as humans. That is the entire meaning of your lives as pigs. If you ask pigs whether their lives have meaning, they won't know. They cannot comprehend the purpose of their existence. If you ask humans whether their lives have meaning, they won't know either. Humans cannot fully grasp the purpose of their existence. 人类正在按照我的构想演进. Humanity is evolving according to my vision. Dayform Buddha. December 27, 2024. The future of humanity is unimaginably beautiful. A world where every individual experiences such profound joy that it leaves them trembling in awe. I will eliminate the roots of human troubles, worry, pain, anxiety, sorrow, fear, and apprehension, so that people live as if in paradise, transforming Earth into a true utopia. Let me share my vision and the steps I will take to bring it to life. I will abolish marriage and family. I will dissolve nations, political parties, and religions. I will erase wealth disparities, along with banks and currencies. I will remove national borders. I will eliminate theft, robbery, invasion, war, unrest, corruption, fraud, deceit, and bribery. I will eradicate poverty and hunger. My plan is for everyone to live to the age of 120. Over the course of their lives, they will experience living and working in at least 40 different locations with diverse climates, geographies, and seasons. They will immerse themselves in temperate, frigid, and tropical zones, in regions with distinct 4 seasons as well as those with only rainy and dry seasons. They will share life with people of various races, languages, and cultures. Each day will be filled with joy, and their lives will be intoxicatingly fulfilling. When they reach 120, will they simply die? No. After 120, I will send some individuals to live on Mars, not in their physical bodies, but by transferring their consciousness onto chips that will be transported to Mars. Once there, their consciousness will be replicated into robotic bodies, allowing humans to make a spectacular transformation from carbon-based life forms to silicon-based beings, continuing to relish the infinite joys of existence. For others, I will guide them to higher dimensions such as the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent, where they can enjoy the bliss of being celestial beings. Can anyone stop this plan from coming to fruition? No one can. No president, billionaire, philosopher, scientist, or thinker can halt the progress and realization of my vision. My advice is this: do not resist this tide of change. Align yourself with it or risk being eliminated by the programs of the new era. For anyone wishing to step into this unparalleled, wondrous new era and live within my vision, there is one essential course you must take: the soul purification course. Of all matters, this is the most urgent. Do not miss this once in 10,000 years opportunity. 心灵篇。求道的结果是什么? What is the outcome of seeking the Tao? Dayform Buddha. March 1, 2007. Seeking the Tao has no outcome. Where is the Tao? Fish live in water. Humans exist within the Tao. We are already within the Tao, so where is there to go in seeking it? Thus, the act of seeking the Tao is like riding a donkey while searching for it or asking, "The monk is still here, so where have I gone?" When we regard ourselves as seekers of the Tao and feel smug or self-satisfied, thinking we are enlightened, that is precisely when we are most lost in self-delusion. How could seeking the Tao ever have an outcome? Everything in the universe is a process. No matter how life evolves, its essence is a process. Therefore, to seek the Tao is to seek the process, not the outcome. The wise words of Gao Shan Lu Shui remind us, when the search for truth brings increasing joy to your life, then you are on the right path. But when it brings increasing pain, then your path is mistaken. Indeed, this is true. Are you happy and joyful in this very moment? If so, you have found the Tao and are resonating in harmony with it. Are you troubled and distressed right now? If so, you have lost the Tao and are out of sync with it. To seek the Tao means to seek happiness and joy. A day of happiness and joy is a day of attaining the Tao and living as a celestial. A lifetime of happiness and joy is a lifetime of living as a celestial. Interestingly, those who live a lifetime of happiness and joy are the most likely to enter the heavenly kingdom, while those who live a lifetime of distress and anguish are less likely to do so. So let us seek happiness and joy. Pursue happiness and joy in every moment and savor the present. The experience of the present moment is the outcome. Seeking a future outcome is like chasing after tomorrow. Tomorrow upon tomorrow. How many tomorrows lie ahead? If we live for tomorrow, all will end in regret. Note, explanation of the monk is still here, so where have I gone? Story mentioned above. Once upon a time, a government escort, known as a guan chai in ancient China, a type of subordinate government agent, was tasked with escorting a monk convicted of breaking monastic precepts to exile. Every morning before setting out, the escort would carefully check 4 things: his belongings, including food and money, the official documents needed to complete the mission, the monk, as losing him would mean grave consequences, and finally himself. Only after ensuring everything was accounted for would he begin the journey. Day after day they traveled together, crossing rushing streams, dense forests, desolate paths, and towering mountains. Over time, the escort and the monk grew familiar with each other, forming a bond like that of friends. As they approached their destination, one cold and stormy evening, they stopped at an inn to rest. The monk, seeing an opportunity, said to the escort, "You've taken such good care of me on this long journey, and our parting is near. Let me repay your kindness. I still have some money left. Shall we have a good meal and some wine tonight?" The escort was delighted and called out for the best food and drink. Feeling relieved of his responsibilities for the night, he drank freely and soon fell into a deep, drunken sleep. Seeing the escort had fallen into a deep sleep, the monk seized his chance. He found the key to his shackles, freed himself, and shaved the escort's head clean. He then switched his prison robe for the escort's clothing and locked the shackles around the escort's ankles. Before leaving, the monk chuckled and said, "See you, my friend," and disappeared into the night. The next morning, the escort woke up feeling refreshed. As usual, he began his daily routine of checking everything before resuming the journey. First, his belongings, still there. Next, the official documents, also present. Then he looked for the monk but couldn't find him. Confused, he started to rise, only to be tripped by the shackles now on his own legs. He rubbed his head and was shocked to feel smooth skin. His head was completely bald. Looking down, he realized he was wearing the monk's robes. A sudden thought struck him. The monk is still here, so where have I gone? This humorous and thought-provoking story serves as a metaphor for losing oneself while navigating life's processes, urging us to reflect on the elusive nature of self and identity. 了尘缘结仙缘, transcending mundane bonds and forming celestial ties. Daeform Buddha. March 24, 2006. The methods of self-practice and cultivation are as vast as the ocean. As a path toward becoming a celestial being, transcending mundane bonds and forming celestial ties is a crucial practice. Everything is governed by karma. Bonds are formed when karma arises and dissolve when karma ends. Those with destiny will meet across 1,000 miles, while those without it will not meet even face to face. Regardless of distance, whether spanning thousands of miles, traversing mountains and rivers, or extending across different realms like the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, blissful world, the animal world, the netherworld, or the frozen layer. These bonds are difficult to sever and must ultimately be resolved. Every interaction we have, whether with parents, children, friends, colleagues, neighbors, or even adversaries and enemies, is rooted in karmic causes and effects. Without cause, there is no ripple. Subconsciously, nothing unrelated to us can occur. A careful analysis of all our encounters reveals that they are tied to past karma. There is no love without cause, no hatred without reason, no arrival without karma, and no departure without it. This understanding teaches us that self-practice and cultivation must focus on fully resolving worldly bonds and broadly forming celestial ties. Resolving mundane bonds and forming celestial ties involves 2 key aspects. Resolving ties with worldly individuals, letting go of attachments to the mundane world. At the same time, one should actively form connections with celestial beings, Buddhas, and those with celestial affinities, while striving to shift one's consciousness from the human world to the celestial world. Resolving ties with worldly individuals. Resolving ties with worldly individuals primarily involves repaying debts owed to them. As Jesus taught, you will not get out until you have paid the last penny. Debts must be repaid. If not in this life, they will carry over to the next, or even the life after that. As long as we owe debts to worldly individuals or society, we cannot leave the human world and will be bound to reincarnate here to repay them. The greater the debt, the lower the life level, and the smaller the chance of entering the celestial world. Letting go of attachments to the mundane world. Honoring parents, raising children, caring for siblings, and contributing to society are all forms of debt repayment. Their purpose is to resolve worldly bonds, avoid reincarnation, and free oneself from suffering and hardship. A key principle of self-practice and cultivation is, better to let others owe me than to owe others. Do not seek advantages. Give more and take less. This approach not only helps repay debts, but also accumulates wealth in the heavenly kingdom. Avoid deep involvement with worldly mortals whenever possible. Do not extend kindness or harbor malice toward them. Do not accept their favors, as worldly benefits often hinder the path to the heavenly kingdom. For example, if you are a doctor, never accept extra gratitude from patients. If you are a government official, never accept extra rewards or bribes. Do not let short-term benefits cloud your spiritual vision, planting seeds of future suffering. It is evident that forming ties with wicked individuals will entangle you in their troubles. If they end up in jail, you may be implicated or, at the very least, disturbed for a period of time. If they descend into hell, you might have to follow to resolve your karmic ties. Proximity to vermilion makes one red. Proximity to ink makes one black. Worship Buddha, gain Buddhahood. Worship demons, gain demonic traits. Frequent exposure to the river makes one wet, and frequent trips to the well will eventually break the pot. Being close to the mountains makes one familiar with the sound of birds. Being close to the water makes one understand the nature of fish. Staying long in fragrant places makes one unaware of the scent, while staying long in foul places makes one oblivious to the stench. Understanding these principles early allows us to distance ourselves from harmful places and people before regret becomes too late. The best way to repay debts. The best way to repay debts and resolve mundane bonds is through formless giving, generous acts of merit without attachment. By accumulating wealth in the Tao's bank, the Tao will automatically help repay your debts. Thus, a debt owed to person A doesn't have to be repaid directly to them. It can be repaid through formless giving to persons B, C, and D. For example, if your parents have passed away and you haven't repaid the debt of their upbringing, you can repay it by accumulating merit through selfless actions for others. Forming celestial ties. Actively forming celestial ties involves interacting with those who have celestial and enlightened roots. These individuals not only avoid bringing trouble into your life, but also bring happiness and joy. As the saying goes, when one person attains the Tao, even their household rises to heaven. While this may not be entirely literal, it highlights the profound influence celestial ties have. By forming deep connections with them, your chances of entering the heavenly kingdom increase. Connections between Life-genuine celestials are essentially celestial ties. If you form bonds with 10 celestials who become celestial beings, the karmic ties between you will inevitably guide you to the celestial world, as these bonds will naturally pull you along. The benefits of transcending mundane bonds and forming celestial ties are profound. Reflect on and savor these truths, and once you understand the principles, you will know how to approach self-practice and cultivation. 自敬人不见. Self-purification is the key. Jiefeng. September 3, 2007. At Dar es Salaam Airport, I observed people casually discarding scraps of paper onto the ground. At Singapore Airport, however, not a single piece of litter could be found. People consciously maintain the pristine public environment. In high-end hotels, no one spits on the ground, while in small roadside eateries, people spit freely. Shops that are elegantly decorated, clean, and tidy often have few customers, while chaotic and cluttered ones are packed. Many people decide whether to enter a shop based on the appearance of its displays and storefront. If a shop appears too perfect, people may feel intimidated, perceiving themselves as unworthy of entering such a luxurious and refined space. In some homes where everything is tidy, orderly, and spotless, guests often feel restrained. Their speech and posture become cautious, and they dare not act casually. Similarly, when viewing nude images in erotic magazines or on websites, people might feel an overwhelming desire to embrace and engage in sensual acts. However, when viewing nude paintings by master artists in an art gallery, such impulses vanish, replaced by a profound sense of beauty that uplifts the spirit and soul. Even when faced with a living, naked beauty, if her figure reflects the golden ratio of perfect curves, her demeanor exudes purity, her speech is elegant, and she radiates compassion and harmony, it is impossible for anyone to entertain impure thoughts. Sexual impulses dissipate, leaving only admiration and reverence. Being in her aura feels like an exquisite happiness. Even a single glance provides an indescribable satisfaction. Some might feel it an unparalleled honor to serve her eternally. Any act of disrespect would leave one feeling deeply ashamed of their soul's flaws and inadequacies. Perfect things elevate people, fostering nobility and civility, steering them away from base desires and guiding them toward the heavenly kingdom. These examples reveal a profound truth. Self-purification is the key. Self-purification is the key means that when one achieves inner and outer perfection and elegance, others will naturally refrain from tarnishing or desecrating it. Dirty places invite litter and spitting, while clean and tidy environments inspire people to restrain themselves and strive to maintain the beauty. To prevent others from littering or spitting in your courtyard, you must first create an attractive and clean environment. To stop people from gossiping about you, you must first cultivate a perfect heart and exhibit refined speech and behavior. Just as the saying goes, where flowers bloom, butterflies naturally gather. Self-purification prevents desecration. We often notice an abundance of flies in certain places and complain about how annoying they are. In truth, the fault lies not with the flies. Flies don't land on unbroken eggs. Flies avoid clean and beautiful places. If there are many flies, it's because the environment is too dirty. To keep flies away, the best solution is to improve your surroundings. Many parents complain about their children associating with bad company, blaming those people. However, such complaints are misplaced. The problem lies not with those individuals but with the children themselves, and ultimately with the parents. The more beautiful a place, the fewer people frequent it. Conversely, the dirtier and messier a place, the more crowded it becomes. Crowded places are rarely ideal, while tranquil spots are more likely to be beautiful. This explains why the 1,000-year world is sparsely populated, the 10,000-year world even more so, and the celestial islands continent the least of all. Similarly, the human world is densely populated, the animal world even more so, and hell is the most crowded of all. When art is profound, its audience is limited. The more refined and perfect a life structure is, the lonelier it becomes in the human world, as there are fewer kindred spirits. When your emotions are as subtle as a flowing stream and your thoughts as ethereal as mist, how can ordinary people understand? The grains of sand by the sea are delicate, but the silt in the lotus pond is even finer. The wind is subtler than the silt, and the light is more delicate than the wind. Emotions that stem from the soul are subtler than light. As this subtlety increases, fewer people can appreciate it. When one's heart enters the antimatter world, their emotions become so refined that they are imperceptible, almost empty. How can the people of the human world appreciate them? It becomes intangible, mysterious. Therefore, such individuals become increasingly lonely. However, the ugly duckling among the ducks will inevitably find resonance with the swans it encounters. Once it spreads its wings and joins them in flight, loneliness will vanish, for it has transcended isolation and found its kind. In summary, to dwell in a beautiful environment, one must first achieve self-purification. Purify your intentions. Do not blame your surroundings, as everything around you is drawn by yourself, be it your parents, spouse, children, siblings, colleagues, friends, race, environment, era, and so on. Everything is of your own making. The gate to the heavenly kingdom is narrow because self-purified individuals are scarce, whereas complainers and blamers are abundant. Beyond the other shore. Deiform Buddha. May 31, 2006. Rivers have this shore and the other shore, and so does life. From the shore of a river, one crosses to the other shore by boat, disembarking upon arrival. Similarly, from the shore of life, one crosses to the other shore using the physical body as the vessel, abandoning it upon reaching the destination. Some do not believe in the existence of the other shore. Some doubt its existence. Some know it exists but are unaware of its conditions, and some wish to reach it but do not know how to get there. Christopher Columbus once sought funding from the Spanish king and queen for a maritime expedition. Columbus believed the earth was round, reasoning that if one kept moving forward, they would eventually return to the starting point. The king and queen were skeptical and convened a committee of renowned scholars and geographers, including theologians such as St. Augustine and Christian philosopher Lactantius, to evaluate the feasibility. The resulting report stated, "Would anyone be foolish enough to believe in a place where people walk upside down, their feet against ours, their heads pointing downward? Or that such a place exists where trees grow downward, and rain, snow, and hail fall upward? Declaring the earth to be round is merely a defense of such myths about the existence of polar opposites. The western Atlantic is boundless and perhaps unnavigable. For centuries, no one has discovered any uncharted, useful lands there. Others said, "Your Majesty, Columbus is undoubtedly a fraud, attempting to swindle money for his indulgences. Should you fund him, the world will mock your Majesty. The only solution for such a swindler is execution by hanging." Those who ridiculed Columbus lacked a holistic understanding of the earth. Jesus Christ knew of the other shore. Buddha Shakyamuni knew of the other shore. The spiritual guide of Life Achanuan also knows of the other shore. Christ did not describe the conditions of the other shore. Buddha did not provide a complete discussion of it. To lead people to the other shore, the guide of Life Achanuan has come, inheriting the mission of Christ and Buddha to fulfill the will of the greatest creator. The 36-dimensional spaces can be seen as 36 distinct other shores. For life, the most ideal other shores are the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world. The least desirable ones are the netherworld, the frozen layer, and the fiery refining layer. Naturally, few will believe this account, just as experts in Columbus's era doubted the Earth's roundness. The guide does not expect everyone to believe it. 1% of the population will suffice. As for how to reach life's ideal other shore, only one person in the world knows, and that is the guide of Life Achanuan. Trust in Christ was not misplaced. Trust in Buddha was not misplaced. Trust in the guide of Life Achanuan is also not misplaced because Jesus, Buddha, and the guide are one and the same, indistinguishable. Many may think the guide of Life Achanuan is a grand deceiver, motivated by fame and fortune. To this, the guide has no response. Buddha once renounced the chance to become a king. He had no desire for it. Many sought to make Jesus a king, but he fled. Speculating that the guide seeks kingship is baseless. If possible, the guide would prefer death and has no desire to remain in this world even 1 second longer. Consider the story of the spider demons who captured Tang Sanzang, offering what they believed to be the finest delicacies, including plump insects. The spider demons thought this was the ultimate hospitality. But if you were Tang Sanzang, would you eat such food? Or imagine a pack of dogs that fought incessantly and eventually begged a human to become their king, bowing humbly and sincerely. If you were that human, would you accept the role of their king? Delicious insects may be prized by spiders but are unsuitable for Tang Sanzang. They are not his food. A king of dogs, no matter how prestigious, does not suit humans. It is not their calling. Do not think I desire anything in this human world. Even the humblest citizen of the heavenly kingdom is nobler than a king, president, or leader of this earthly world. If you approach with sincere scientific curiosity, you will believe me. If you have spirituality, you will believe me. If you understand divine revelations, you will believe me. If you grasp Christ's heart, you will believe me. If you comprehend Buddha's teachings, you will believe me. Do not assume I will preach to you as Jesus or Buddha did. For most humans, compassion and universal love are ineffective. Without transforming the structure of your life, you cannot reach the ideal other shore. Stop aimless practices and haphazard cultivation. Cultivation is like launching a spacecraft into outer space. Every calculation must be precise. Blind attempts and wishful thinking are futile. Do not harbor the slightest delusion. If you lack clarity on even one calculation or entertain unrealistic expectations, you will never reach the ideal other shore. 生命禅院倡导的人生价值观 The life values advocated by Life Achanuan. Daeform Buddha. August 27, 2006. Life values are the compass and guide that help one adjust their direction in life, based on their worldview and outlook on life. Different values lead to different life paths. The vast diversity of lives primarily stems from the multitude of value systems. Jesus and Buddha's values shaped their divine and enlightened qualities, while Hitler's values shaped his demonic nature. Some enter politics, others engage in business, some become clergy, and others turn to theft or robbery. These life paths are largely determined by their differing values. Values represent a form of awareness. The way one lives and pursues life depends on this awareness. Many people spend their entire lives rushing around, yet achieve little. This often occurs because they lack clear values, or their values are chaotic and undefined. Such individuals rarely reflect on what is most important in life, leaving them unable to distinguish priorities or determine what matters most. They follow the crowd. When the east wind blows, they follow the east. When the west wind blows stronger, they drift with the west. As a result, they exhaust themselves throughout life without ever achieving clarity or purpose. A life without direction is blind. A life without values is confused. Life's sufferings and misfortunes often arise from the absence of a clear direction and set of values. Correct values stem from an accurate understanding of the universe, time, space, and life. To establish correct life values, one must first cultivate an accurate worldview and understanding of life. Our awareness and perception of the universe's myriad phenomena lead us to recognize a supernatural soul, the greatest creator, and the ordered operation of the universe. The force governing this order is the Tao, and everything operates under the control of the greatest creator's spirit, the Tao. We also understand that the universe consists of 36 dimensions, that life is eternal, and that death is not the end of existence. Life is merely a single journey of life itself, and the end of one journey marks the beginning of another. The quality of one's new starting point depends on the life quality achieved at the end of the previous journey. Those with higher quality life may ascend to heavenly realms, while those with lower quality life descend to lower levels of existence. Based on this worldview and understanding of life, Life Achanyuan advocates the following life values. The highest priority in life is to refine and perfect the non-material structure of one's being. Life is infinite, but a single human life is finite. Everything tangible that one gains through life's struggles ultimately amounts to nothing. Only the intangible achievements remain real and eternal. At the moment of death, what can one take away? Wealth, fame, status, and material possessions. None of these can accompany you. Even loved ones, parents, spouses, and children cannot follow. The only thing you carry is the quality of life cultivated through self-practice and refinement. As Jesus taught, this is the treasure stored in heaven. As Buddha taught, it is the fruition of enlightenment. The most valuable pursuit is to refine the spiritual structure of life, no matter the cost, ensuring entry into higher levels of existence, after death to enjoy eternal life and bliss. For this purpose, we revere the greatest creator, life and nature, walking in the way of the greatest creator. We perceive, pursue, verify, attain, and uphold the Tao. We heed the teachings of Jesus and Buddha, actively exploring the mysteries of time, space, and life. We do good deeds, repay all our debts to the world, and honor our responsibilities. We fulfill our duties wholeheartedly, engage with the world while transcending it, rise above the ordinary, and strive to scale the highest peaks of life and life. We accumulate merit through diligent work, storing treasures in heaven. We seek to sever worldly entanglements, forge celestial connections, and transcend the limits of time and space. We focus our vision on the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and Elysium world, projecting our finite lives into the boundless expanse of eternal life. Moreover, we approach life as a game. Whether life is simple or complex, marked by gain or loss, brilliance or solitude, longevity or brevity, wealth or poverty, good fortune or adversity, it is all part of the journey. Life is but a journey, and at its end we all must disembark. Each day we live, we pursue freedom, joy, and happiness, striving for a life free of regrets. The earlier one understands the principles of life, the better. Tomorrow may mark the end of this life's journey. Every moment of life is priceless, and wasted time can never be reclaimed. Not a single moment must be wasted on illusions or the trivial concerns of the world. We do not fight with heaven, earth, people, or governments. Instead, we entrust our lives to the greatest creator and the Tao. We never surrender our lives to nations, political parties, religions, families, masters, spouses, gangs, organizations, or any individual. My destiny rests firmly in my own hands. 来自天国的祝福. Blessings from the kingdom of heaven. Deiform Buddha. April 27, 2006. Humanity is about to enter the Life Achanyuan era, a golden age lasting 1,000 years. The earthly paradise, the utopia, and a replica of the 1,000-year world will manifest on earth. This is the will of the greatest creator, the aspiration of gods and Buddhas, the hope of celestial beings and saints, and the ideal of wise sages. It is the long-cherished dream of countless generations of kind, diligent, honest, and trustworthy people. Forces representing light, justice, peace, and freedom will converge through the tunnel of time and space, from the distant kingdom of heaven, from the ancient past, from the remote future, and from every corner of earth, to build the Life-Echanuan era together. This is a momentous era, an era of profound cultural transformation, awakening consciousness, and opportunities for sages to achieve greatness. It is also a time of intense struggle between light and darkness. All life forms resonating with the values of Life-Echanuan will enter this new age to enjoy 1,000 years of bliss. Those who fail to align with these values will be purified and eliminated from earth, enduring the tribulations of 1,000 years in purgatory. A bright era of spring blossoms, blooming flowers, harmonious chirping birds, and universal harmony is about to arrive. In this new era, nations, religions, political parties, and families will disappear. Greed, selfishness, deception, and evil will be eradicated. Hunger, disasters, conflicts, anxiety, and disease will vanish. You will enter a paradise of life where lost items are left untouched, doors are left unlocked at night, talents are not overlooked in the countryside. The world is one family, and freedom, joy, and harmony reign supreme. From then on, you will fully enjoy the happiness and bliss of a joyful and peaceful heart and mind. This is a blessing from the greatest creator and a grace from gods and Buddhas. It is the distilled wisdom of humanity's sages over millennia. It is the fruit of the ceaseless efforts of devout Christians, Buddhists, Muslims, Taoists, Marxists, and communists. It is also the natural reward for your sincere prayers, diligent practice, and uplifting consciousness that have moved heaven and earth. The universe operates holographically with consciousness at its core. The messages you send to the universe determine the feedback you receive through the way of the greatest creator. As the saying goes, you reap what you sow. A fair lady is what a gentleman yearns for. What you give is what you gain. Profit leads to loss. The way operates with precision. Nothing escapes its scrutiny, and every cause produces its effect. You are a fortunate generation, witnessing a great adjustment of cosmic life. A rare opportunity that occurs once in hundreds of millions of years. It is a chance to break free from the shackles of misfortune, and to manifest the brilliance of human nature. The way requires close cooperation from every individual, not for others but for yourself. Aligning with the way brings boundless blessings. Opposing it leads to eternal regret. As a famous verse says, beside the wrecked ship, thousands of sails pass by. In front of the sick tree, countless new shoots thrive. Do not cling to the past or yearn for bygone days. Believe in the wisdom of the present generation, and embrace the unprecedentedly beautiful era ahead. Trust in today's prophets and sages, rather than getting trapped in the quagmire of the past. The gateway to the labyrinth of life has just opened. Keep your mind clear and your eyes sharp. Do not squander this precious time. The Old Testament describes gods who created nations like Israel, but not the supreme Lord of the universe. Revere the greatest creator, who embodies 8 main characteristics, and respect the Heavenly Father that Jesus spoke of. True faith in Jesus lies not in blindly following the words written by his disciples, but in understanding his will and heart. Remember, words are static, but the heart is alive and dynamic. To remain dead is to cling to words. To come alive is to enter into Jesus' heart and unite with him. The compassionate Buddha Shakyamuni has already prepared a raft for us to cross the ocean of life. Those with great aspirations who board his Dharma vessel will reach the blissful other shore. Chant and explain the Diamond Sutra to others. The blessings and merits you accumulate will be beyond imagination. Your cultivation should focus on understanding the Tao, seeking the Tao, attaining the Tao, and walking the Tao. Do not get attached to Gong practices, methods, mystical arts, or rituals. Focus on the essence rather than outward appearances or forms. The core of cultivation is to perfect the non-material structure of your life, not to acquire wisdom or supernatural abilities. You must concentrate on transforming your consciousness and elevating your thinking, rather than merely meditating or practicing techniques. Reflect deeply on the 8 types of thinking proposed by Life-Echanuan and diligently strive to comprehend the 8 mysteries of life. Live with integrity and sincerity. Be open and honest, not secretive or mysterious. Avoid being deceitful or sneaky. Present yourself openly before the greatest creator and others. Ensure your words and actions align, that your inner self matches your outward appearance, and that you can withstand the scrutiny of the greatest creator, the government, kind-hearted people, and the tests of this new era. The way of the greatest creator is the way of reason, joy, freedom, and happiness. Whether you are in favorable or adverse circumstances, facing despair or even death, always maintain inner peace and joy. Trust that the greatest creator is observant and impartial, rewarding and punishing justly. Have the courage to entrust your life to the way and allow it to guide you. Avoid participating in fanatical religious or political activities, sectarian movements driven by hatred aimed at overthrowing governments, or superstitious practices that lack scientific or factual grounding. Do not engage in nationalism or ethnic nationalism that does not benefit humanity as a whole. Stay away from theft, robbery, murder, deception, extortion, and oppression. Avoid associating with those who lack faith, integrity, or a willingness to work, as well as those who incite hatred, promote violence, or manipulate others. You are the civilized life destined for eternity, not the barbaric group that will be purified and eliminated. The Life-Genuine Celestials are the children of the greatest creator, the seeds of humanity for the new era. As one family under Life-Genuine, cherish and love one another. Live in harmony. Relationships among Chanyuan Celestials are like those of siblings, relatives, and lovers. No other relationships exist. Strive to embody kindness, honesty, trustworthiness, diligence, simplicity, and wisdom in your inner world. Bring out the truth, goodness, beauty, and love hidden within your life structure to the fullest extent. Blend yourself like a drop of water into the vast ocean of Life-Genuine. Collaborate with the great cosmic life adjustment to create a joyful homeland and build a beautiful, boundless future for yourself. These blessings come from the kingdom of heaven. Glory belongs to the greatest creator. Happiness belongs to those who revere the greatest creator, respect life, cherish nature, and walk the way of the greatest creator. May you walk out of confusion, enter the Life-Genuine era, an earthly paradise, and extend your life to the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world, enjoying eternal bliss. Today marks the auspicious reopening of the gates of Life-Genuine. It is a turning point in each individual's life and in the transformation of human consciousness. The greatest creator is with you. Christ Jesus and Buddha Shakyamuni are with you. Prophet Muhammad and Sage Laozi are with you. All the saints and sages of humanity are with you. Your joy and happiness will be infinite. The most beautiful blessings are yours. 读沁心草遁去的意有感. Reflections on Qingxin Celestials, the Elusive One. Dayform Buddha. December 11, 2006. Qingxin Celestial reveals a profound truth. One must attain the Tao in the present moment. Chasing illusory perfection is as futile as trying to catch one's shadow. Attaining the Tao now is grasping the One. If one hopes to achieve it in the future, it will forever remain out of reach. This aligns with Donghai Yixiao's insight in life blossoms in every instant. Both are words of wisdom from those who have entered the Tao. Explaining this state of being through words is difficult, not because it is impossible, but because it requires extensive elaboration. An instant is eternity, and successive instants form a continuous eternity. Seekers of the Tao must remain unwavering, centered, and focused in every moment. Neglecting the significance of an instant distances one from the Tao. As Qingxin Celestial remarks, life blossoms in every instant. If one cannot attain the Tao in this life, then when? The Tao is never far from us. To pursue it, one must seize the present moment. If we love someone, we must love them immediately, without hesitation, overthinking, or calculating. Worries and delays render our love false and unexpressed, leaving others unable to feel it. Life blossoms in every instant. If we lack love in this moment, no flower of love can bloom. Procrastination leads to regret. Appreciate the flowers while they are in full bloom. If delayed, they will have withered. A man cannot step into the same river twice, and time flows on like a river. Regret always comes too late. So, how long will we wait? Qian Kuan Buddha has clearly stated that one's future after death depends on their state of being at the moment of death. And what determines that state? Whether one has attained the Tao in the present moment. For just as life blossoms in every instant, so too does it wither and fade. I once wrote an article titled "Each Day Could Be Your Last." How much longer will we wait? Treat every day as though it were the final day of your life, and you will attain the Tao. If there is something in your heart to say it now. Tomorrow is uncertain. Catastrophes like tsunamis can strike without warning. If you need to repent, repent now. If you owe someone an apology, apologize now. If you wish to become a celestial of life, a genuine, apply now. If you wish to do good, do it now. And yes, even if you feel the urge to curse someone, curse them now. Many people, when facing death, are consumed by regret, bitterness, and remorse, lamenting their missed opportunities. I ask them, why did you hesitate at the time? Whom can you blame? The future is built upon the present. The path to the kingdom of heaven begins beneath our feet. If you don't walk it now, what are you waiting for, death? That's why I say, building life a genuine is the best form of self-improvement and cultivation. Where else could one find such a fitting place for growth? Life a genuine revolves around two central themes. One is striving for the highest state of life, establishing the era of life a genuine. The other is pursuing the highest state of life, perfecting the non-material structure of life and advancing to the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, or celestial islands continent in the Elysium world. The current focus of Life a Genuine's back garden is laying the foundation for our journey to the 1,000-year world. Chiefing Celestial, sent by the greatest creator, is here to guide us. Those with insight will see the essence. Those without will merely join the crowd. Skeptics may wonder, is there truly a 1,000-year world for us? Where else could one find such a guide? The greatest creator sends an airplane to pick you up. You won't board. The greatest creator sends a boat. You won't board. Are you waiting for the creator to personally come for you? Do we even deserve or have the qualifications for such a privilege? Opportunities once missed never return. The key is to seize the present moment. In this moment, one can become a celestial being and a Buddha. Let go, and let go again. Have we truly let go? Do not let your heart be entangled by forms, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, or dermas. Where does your heart reside? To die for the Tao is to gain life. To live for oneself is to lose life. The Buddha and Christ are our guides in life and life. And Life a Genuine is today's Noah's Arkansas. What are we still waiting for? Are we waiting for extraterrestrials? Will one cultivate alone? Impossible, like carving rotted wood. Can selfish people be accepted into the kingdom of heaven? To be accepted, one must perform good deeds and store treasures in heaven. Where our treasures lie, so too will our hearts and futures. Do not withhold your love. The more you give, the more you will receive. Those who give little will have even that taken away. The lazy worker will not only forfeit their reward, but also their position. Yesterday's merits belong to yesterday. Forget them. Today brings a new self, and with it, renewed effort and diligence. Flowers bloomed yesterday, but they must bloom again today. In this way we remain steadfast and can enjoy the eternity of life. Let me conclude with Qinshin Celestial's words of wisdom. If one cannot attain the Tao in this life, then when? 吸烟者会下地狱吗? Will smokers go to hell? Jiefeng. December 2nd, 2007. Smoking harms health and pollutes the environment. Therefore, anyone who endeavors to prevent smoking is doing the right thing. A compassionate act worthy of recognition. Life a Genuine advocates for a smoke-free lifestyle. I Xiefeng am a smoker with a significant habit, averaging a pack of cigarettes daily. The harmful effects of smoking are extensive, as all cigarettes contain toxins. It's widely acknowledged that the best tobacco comes from Zimbabwe, home to the world's largest tobacco auction house. Even the best Chinese cigarettes must include Zimbabwean tobacco leaves to qualify as premium brands. Zimbabwe is known for producing 5 main cigarette brands: Newberry, Kingsgate, Beverly, Matson, and Everest. I have tried all of them with distinct effects. After smoking a pack of Newberry, I developed itchy red bumps all over my body. A pack of Kingsgate left me with severe lower back pain. Beverly caused my vision to decline rapidly. Matson gave me headaches, and Everest invariably led to nosebleeds. This is not an exaggeration. Many have personally witnessed my reactions to tobacco. These experiences demonstrate that tobacco significantly damages physical health. Moreover, Regular smoking drastically reduces sexual performance and can even lead to a complete loss of libido. Smokers' lungs are undeniably blackened, and lung capacity is severely impaired. Smoking also hinders meditative practices. For Qigong practitioners, smoking makes entering the Qi state challenging. From personal experience, I found that abstaining from smoking for 3 days enabled me to enter the Qi state within a minute, whereas smoking prolonged this process to over 10 minutes. Therefore, practitioners of self-improvement and cultivation are better off avoiding smoking. Additionally, smokers emit an unpleasant odor, which can be off-putting to others. The smell also permeates their vehicles and living spaces. Smoking in the bedroom is unlikely to foster pleasant dreams. In summary, the disadvantages of smoking are numerous. Those who don't smoke should avoid starting, and those who do should quit if possible. It brings numerous benefits. Currently, I still smoke, but I choose a special type of cigarette with over 50% lower nicotine and tar content than regular brands. Smoking is primarily a habit, not a physiological necessity. That said, every rule has exceptions. For certain individuals, smoking may have specific effects or benefits. This is akin to drinking water. Only the person drinking knows whether it is warm or cold. Will smokers go to hell? Now let's delve into the main question. Refer to the Bible, Mark 7 verses 15 to 23, where Jesus teaches, "Nothing outside a person can defile them by going into them. Rather, it is what comes out of a person that defiles them." Cigarettes are external substances entering the body and do not defile the soul. A person's inner goodness or beauty is unrelated to smoking unless their smoking harms others. Substances, especially food, affect physical health, not the spiritual body, unless fear is generated in one's consciousness. Inhaling or ingesting toxins may damage physical health, but does not taint the soul. Thus, smokers will not go to hell. Neither will meat eaters or drinkers. One's destination, heaven or hell, is determined by their non-material structure of life, not by smoking meat or alcohol. All medicines have toxicity. If smoking condemns one to hell due to its toxicity, then anyone who has taken medicine, breathed polluted air, or eaten pesticide-treated vegetables would also be destined for hell. Now, since fertilizers and pesticides are toxic, these toxins have entered vegetables and fruits. Therefore, everyone who has eaten vegetables and fruits would go to hell. Thus, the idea that smoking leads to hell, though well-intentioned, is baseless and unfounded. Buddha Sakyamuni taught in the Diamond Sutra, Chapter 14, one should develop the mind without dwelling on form. Do not let the mind dwell on sound, smell, taste, touch, or dharma. The mind should dwell nowhere. What is a cigarette? It is merely form. Dwelling on smoking demonstrates a lack of enlightenment and understanding of dharma. Such individuals, instead of promoting dharma, defile and undermine it. Do not assume someone is sinful or unworthy of enlightenment because they smoke, eat meat, or drink alcohol. Judging others based on outward appearances reflects attachment to form. As the Buddha said, "If you see me in form, if you seek me in sound, you are on the wrong path and will not see the Tathagata." Heaven or hell has nothing to do with form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or dharma. Life is a spiritual, non-material structure. Whether one ascends to heaven or descends to hell depends on the perfection of one's life's non-material structure. A perfect structure leads to heaven. An ugly structure leads to hell. What is life's non-material structure? How can it be perfected? For answers, refer to the Life-Chanyuan Corpus and Siefeng Corpus. I Siefeng smoke, eat meat, drink alcohol, play mahjong, and engage in romantic relationships. My life exemplifies that the perfection of life's non-material structure is not directly tied to form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or dharma. I demonstrate the essence of the highest level of dharma. Life-Chanyuan represents humanity's ultimate course. Everything should adhere to this final course. 关于生产力的思考 Reflections on Productivity. Siefeng. February 11, 2008. The authoritative modern Chinese dictionary defines productivity as the ability of people with labor capacity, combined with means of production, tools and objects of labor, to conquer and transform nature. Humans are the decisive factor in productivity. Productivity is the most dynamic and revolutionary element in production. The level of productivity development marks the extent of humanity's conquest of nature. This definition feels unscientific, awkward, and incomplete. It's unsettling, particularly the notion of conquering nature. Why must we conquer nature? Isn't living in harmony with nature a better approach? The atmosphere, earth, mountains, rivers, plants, animals, birds, insects, and all other elements are integral parts of nature. Why should we aim to conquer them? Humanity itself is part of nature. Claiming to conquer nature implies humans conquering themselves. Wouldn't peaceful coexistence and mutual benefit be more sensible? Why must we transform nature? Nature is inherently beautiful and perfect. If we alter it, what would the results be? Would it lead to rising temperatures, melting glaciers, diminishing species, desertification, soil acidification, fishless rivers, polluted skies, soil erosion, floods, and ecological imbalance? Could such transformation eventually lead to nature's collapse? Therefore, the definition of productivity needs to be re-examined. Life Achanuan defines productivity as any factor capable of production is productivity. The earth is productivity because it produces plants, flowers, and crops and indirectly sustains wild animals, livestock, birds, insects, and humans. Rivers, lakes, and oceans are productivity because they nurture countless fish and shrimp. The atmosphere is productivity because it supports all life on Earth. Sunlight is productivity, especially through photosynthesis, which provides energy essential for life on Earth. When we observe nature, we are amazed to discover that nature itself is productivity. A once popular saying declared, "Science and technology are the primary productive forces." However, this statement is narrow and biased. It would be more accurate to say that nature is the primary productive force. Humans are not the decisive factor in productivity. The decisive factors are sunlight, air, water, and the earth. Without humans, nature would continue to thrive. But without sunlight, air, water, or the earth, what could humans decide? A more accurate statement might be, humans are the primary factor in the destruction of nature. The claim that the level of productivity development marks the extent of humanity's conquest of nature is incorrect. Here, productivity essentially refers to advancements in science, technology, and human expertise. To be precise, this statement should read, the level of human productivity development marks the extent of humanity's destruction of nature. Merely discussing productivity holds little value. The real question is this: if sunlight, air, water, and earth are the true productive forces, and if nature is the ultimate productive force, then where does nature originate? Did it fall from the sky by chance? This morning, while working in the cucumber field, I noticed something fascinating. Every cucumber vine grows tendrils about half a foot apart. What are these tendrils for? They are used for climbing. When a tendril cannot reach any support, it grows straight. But upon finding support, it coils tightly around it, enabling the vine to grow upward. How clever cucumbers are! Behind my backyard bar, climbing plants resembling Boston ivy scale vertical walls, even reaching the rooftop. How do they climb? Their thin stems periodically produce feet that secrete a sticky liquid. This liquid adheres tightly to surfaces, allowing the plants to scale walls and cliffs. How ingenious these climbers are! But think deeper. Are cucumbers and climbers truly intelligent and wise? Of course not. Their ingenuity reflects the wisdom of their creator. Nature continuously enlightens us, revealing that an extraordinarily intelligent being exists behind it all, a being we call God, the greatest creator. So, what is productivity? Answer: the greatest creator is productivity. Who is the primary productive force? Answer: the greatest creator is the primary productive force. When this understanding becomes clear, everything simplifies. Humanity only needs to revere the greatest creator, respect life, cherish nature, and follow the way of the greatest creator. When we do so, nature will beautifully arrange everything for us. There's no need to conquer or transform nature. Simply live according to its laws, and all will be well. If we insist on using our limited human intelligence and skills to conquer and transform nature, the more we conquer and alter, the worse the situation becomes, leading to increasingly dire outcomes. Comments and rebuttals are welcome. 天堂地狱在哪里? Where exactly are heaven and hell? Deiform Buddha. October 10, 2006. I have often encountered statements in others' writings, such as heaven and hell are in your heart, or heaven and hell are just a thought away. Such sayings may mislead the speaker and perplex the listener. If heaven and hell are in your heart, where exactly is the heart? If heaven and hell are just a thought away, why not simply have that one thought and go to heaven? These sayings contain some truth. Phrases like the three realms arise solely from the mind, and all phenomena are manifestations of consciousness. The environment is shaped by the mind and illness stems from it. Form arises from the mind and vanishes with it. A single thought can make the difference between heaven and earth. A single thought can turn a short distance into 1,000 miles, or fortune and misfortune, joy and suffering hinge on a single thought. All ring true. Even a single thought of purity can transform a fiery fortress into a serene temple. A single thought of vigilance can guide a boat to the other shore, conveys profound wisdom. However, using heart and thought to explain heaven and hell is overly vague. Heaven and hell are relative concepts. For example, the saying above, there is heaven, below, there are Suzhou and Hangzhou highlights the exceptional beauty and prosperity of Suzhou and Hangzhou compared to other places. During the Cultural Revolution, people often said, America is heaven for the rich and hell for the poor. In the same space, some experience heaven while others endure hell. External landscapes can feel different depending on one's mood. A kind thought might avert a quarrel or fight, while a malicious thought could lead to disastrous consequences. And in extreme cases, even life and death can hinge on a single thought. So, where is heaven? If one has no concept of heaven in their heart, they will never know where heaven is. To reach heaven, one must first carry heaven in their heart. A single malicious thought can close the gates of heaven and open those of hell. Where exactly is heaven? Strictly speaking, heaven is not in the heart. Heaven consists of the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world. The 1,000-year world is on a planet about 960 light-years from Earth. The 10,000-year world is on a planet about 3,480 light-years away. Meanwhile, the Elysium world encompasses the entire earthly universe, with the celestial islands continent located hundreds of millions of light-years from us. Where exactly is hell? Hell is made up of the fire refining layer, the frozen layer, and the netherworld, all of which belong to the non-material world. The fire refining layer and the frozen layer are unique black holes with special structures. As for the netherworld, it is omnipresent. Relative to the human world, even the plant and animal worlds can be considered forms of hell. Without understanding the non-material structure of life or the non-material world, it is challenging to grasp the concepts of the Elysium world and hell. Whether it is heaven or hell, the key issue does not lie in the heart but in consciousness. Each space has a unique structure that corresponds to the structure of life, resonating with it at the same frequency. The kind of life structure one possesses determines the space they inhabit. Thus, it is essential to focus energy on life structure. At the core of structure lies consciousness, and cultivating a good consciousness depends on enhancing one's thinking. Improving thinking starts with expanding understanding. Without heightened awareness, it is impossible to elevate one's thinking. Without elevated thinking, consciousness cannot transform. Without transformation of consciousness, the non-material structure of life cannot change. If the non-material structure of life remains unchanged, one remains human, and humans cannot enter heaven. Only when one attains the consciousness of a celestial or a Buddha can they transcend. Dream more and reflect on where your dreams take you. In time, you will come to understand the true locations of heaven and hell. 浅谈意志及其与意识结构能量的关系. A brief discussion on willpower and its connection with consciousness, structure, and energy. Jiefeng. December 17, 2007. The term willpower, yizhi, consists of two components, yi, which signifies aspiration or desire, and zhi, which represents the mental and psychological state required to fulfill that aspiration. For instance, the desire to eat a ginseng fruit is yi. The determination and mental state to find ways to obtain and eat the fruit is zhi. Together, they form willpower, a mental and psychological state that arises from a desire and persists to achieve it. Willpower is akin to potential energy, stored and ready to be released. It transforms into kinetic energy when expressed through actions like speech, behavior, prayer, or visualization. This is much like a reservoir, where willpower acts as the stored energy waiting to flow. When water cascades down from a height to drive a generator's turbines or flows out through a spillway, it transforms into kinetic energy. The magnitude of this energy is proportional to the reservoir's capacity and the height difference that creates hydraulic pressure. Everyone possesses willpower, but its strength varies. Some have strong and resilient willpower, while others have weak willpower. The strength of willpower depends on one's consciousness. The more ordered and lucid one's consciousness, the stronger the willpower. Conversely, chaotic and confused consciousness results in weaker willpower. For instance, the desire to reach the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world is merely E. The unwavering determination to get there, no matter the circumstances, is G. Sustaining this resolute mental state constitutes willpower. However, the persistence of this willpower depends on its strength. If our consciousness comprehensively understands the mysteries of the universe, time, space, and life, and if we have a profound recognition of life's value and meaning, then our consciousness is ordered and clear. This clarity allows us to discern what to do and what not to do, what to think and what to avoid thinking. In such a state, our willpower to reach the celestial islands continent becomes unyielding. Regardless of the obstacles or hardships we encounter, our resolve remains steadfast. This is the hallmark of resilient willpower. In contrast, if we lack understanding of the universe, time, space, life, or the principles of life's evolution, our consciousness will inevitably be chaotic and disordered. We lose sight of life's value and purpose, unable to determine what we should think or do. In this state, we are like a headless fly, aimlessly stumbling through life, achieving little. Thus, our consciousness becomes bewildered, and our willpower to reach the celestial islands continent is weak. While we might sustain our willpower under favorable conditions, any disruption or hardship can cause it to collapse or even collapse entirely. Consider Life Changyuan as an example. Some Changyuan celestials have, since joining, consistently maintained their aspiration to reach the celestial islands continent. Regardless of changes within Life Changyuan or external attacks, they remain steadfast. This demonstrates their resilient willpower, akin to a vast reservoir of abundant energy. Their consciousness is ordered and lucid, making their willpower unshakable by any force. Even in the face of an atomic explosion beside them, they would remain calm and resolute. Conversely, other Changyuan celestials, instead of contemplating the mysteries of time, space, and life or reflecting on life's value and purpose, spend their time observing, testing, gauging trends, seeking supernatural powers and mystical arts, or showcasing their abilities. As a result, when they encounter setbacks or challenges, they abandon their original aspirations. Some go further, using any opportunity to slander Life Changyuan to justify their departure. They seek validation by rallying others to criticize it, believing that the more people attack Life Changyuan, the more correct they appear. In truth, this behavior is driven by vanity and reflects weak willpower. Willpower is a form of energy, potential energy. However, this energy remains intangible until it is acted upon, transforming into tangible kinetic energy. The strength of willpower depends on the order and clarity of consciousness. Willpower itself is not a structure and cannot alter structures. A peony flower remains a peony no matter how much water or fertilizer it gets. Its structure doesn't change. Similarly, a person's life structure isn't altered by the strength of their willpower alone. Only a transformation in consciousness can alter the non-material structure of life. Willpower is essential for transformation and reaching our goals. Like a ship, no matter how advanced, it cannot leave the harbor without propulsion. Willpower is the force that drives us through challenges toward our destination. 恨会毁灭自己. Hatred will destroy oneself. Deiform Buddha. October 10, 2006. First, let me declare that I am selfish. I lack virtue and care only about how I can ascend to the heavenly kingdom. Everything else is governed and arranged by the Tao, and I have no interest in concerning myself with it. Because I am selfish, I strive to accumulate merits and treasures in the heavenly kingdom. By doing so, I can enjoy the ultimate bliss of life in heaven, establishing the era of Life Changyuan for humanity, inspiring people to revere the greatest creator, life, and nature, and walking in the way of the greatest creator will earn me the creator's favor. Nature will nurture me, and all life will care for me. This is life's greatest transaction, exchanging a finite existence for infinite life and unparalleled returns. Such a deal is not one I would ever pass up. Because I am selfish, I honor my parents, care for my siblings, raise my children conscientiously, and repay all debts. I strive to live a life without regrets so I can transcend the human world and no longer reincarnate. All debts must be repaid, whether they are owed to nature, parents, children, spouses, friends, neighbors, or strangers. As long as debts remain unpaid in the human world, I cannot ascend to the heavenly kingdom and will be forced to reincarnate to repay them. Because I am selfish, I aim to burn as brightly as I can. Even if I must eat dry grass, I wish to produce milk. Even if I must drink dirty water, I aspire to exude the fragrance of wine. This is not for the sake of others but to ensure my own inner peace. By doing so, regardless of my circumstances, my heart remains calm, free from fear and anxiety. Because I am selfish, I avoid harming animals or destroying their habitats. To harm them is to sow the seeds of disaster. Benefiting at their expense creates a debt. I do not wish to owe animals and risk being reborn into their realm to repay that debt. Because I am selfish, I seek to collect the gems of the human world, the Chanyuan celestials. They are treasures, and I wish to bring them to the heavenly kingdom. With their presence, my life environment becomes beautiful, and I can enjoy boundless joy. Do not think I serve others. Everything I do is ultimately for my own benefit. Because I am selfish, I no longer harbor hatred toward anyone. One day, while standing before a mirror, I noticed that when I was happy, my reflection appeared beautiful. When I was filled with hatred, however, the reflection became ugly and repulsive. Celestials in the heavenly kingdom are all beautiful. If I am ugly, there will be no place for me in heaven. Outward ugliness mirrors inner flaws, reflecting the non-material imperfections of one's life structure. Therefore, I resolutely reject hatred. If my life is filled with hardships, if I am deceived or bullied, it is not the fault of others but the result of my life trajectory, my destiny. I do not seek revenge, bear grudges, or blame others. This is not out of consideration for others but to preserve the perfection of my own life structure. To harbor hatred is to destroy oneself. Because I am selfish, I choose to love others. Love is inexhaustible. It does not create debts. Rather, it makes others indebted to me. Debts owed to me must eventually be repaid. While I strive not to owe anyone, I aim to have others owe me. In doing so, my life space expands and grows more beautiful. The more lives owe me, the more glorious and harmonious my existence becomes. The wisdom of the greatest creator lies here. All life in the universe is indebted to him, and thus all follow him alone. Because I am selfish, I no longer form bonds with worldly mortals. The suffering of worldly people is endless, and connecting with them means inheriting their boundless pain. Life is fleeting, so I choose to associate with sages and form connections with bodhisattvas, angels, celestials, and Buddhas. When they ascend to the heavenly kingdom, our bonds will guide me there as well. Because I am selfish, I work diligently. Why? Because life is impermanent, and its final station can arrive at any moment. By preparing everything in advance, I can step into my next life journey without regret, avoiding the sorrow of looking back and turning into a pillar of salt, tormented by regret for millennia. I do not blame anyone for harming me, wasting my youth, or causing me to endure hardships. If life was bitter, it was my own doing and I deserved it. I never claim to do anything for others, not for your good. No, everything I do is for myself. I love you but not for your sake, it is for mine. I help you but not for your sake, it is for me. I dedicate myself to you but not for your sake, it is to fulfill my own purpose. Do not call me noble. Do not praise me for being selfless or contributing to humanity. Do not claim that I have sacrificed for my nation, ethnicity, society, family, or others. I have not and I will not. Everything I do is for myself because I am selfish. 莫把真情当粪土. Do not treat true feelings as dirt. Jiefeng. I have traveled through 36-dimensional spaces, explored 20 parallel worlds, and discovered a profound truth. The more a place cherishes true feelings, the closer it is to heaven. The more devoid of compassion and integrity, the nearer it is to hell. Where true feelings abound, harmony and blessings prevail. Where true feelings are absent, suffering is unbearable. When people abandon true feelings, they forfeit heaven. When people regard true feelings as dirt, they become demons and monsters. True feelings are priceless treasures of the heavenly kingdom. Without true feelings, what are you? Flowers exude fragrance because they have feelings. Humans shine with brilliance because they have feelings. Gods and Buddhas save sentient beings because they have feelings. Demons, devoid of feelings, spread disaster. People, when you abandon true feelings, you make it nearly impossible to enter heaven. The gates of heaven will never open for the heartless. Are you cultivating the path? What exactly are you cultivating? Who brews the bitter wine of life? Who causes conflicts and disputes? Who sows the seeds of suffering? Who turns away from the greatest creator? It is those who are devoid of compassion and loyalty. Without true feelings, what remains? What remains is calculation and the weighing of benefits. What remains is indifference and deceit. What remains is selfishness and greed. What remains is an ugly soul. What warms the human heart is not wisdom, but true feelings. What brings joy and delight is not knowledge, but true feelings. If a master lacks compassion, he brings not blessings but the call of demons. If a practitioner lacks compassion, he cannot become a celestial but will instead become a spawn of devils. False emotions and sweet words, these are the tricks of demons. Cold-hearted betrayals and cunning schemes, these are the deeds of monsters. If God were devoid of compassion, he would not be God. If Buddha were devoid of compassion, he would not be Buddha. If an angel lacked compassion, they would not be an angel. If a bodhisattva lacked compassion, they would not be a bodhisattva. Lively and vibrant beings are those with feelings. Dull and lifeless beings are those without feelings. If you study Buddhism but lack compassion, you are studying demonic ways. If you aspire to immortality but lack compassion, you are walking the path of ghosts. No matter how many extraordinary beings appear in the world, they must first move others with compassion. Heartless teachings are poisonous broths that lead to hell. A heart devoid of compassion is like the venom of a snake. Even if Jesus returns, he will shower true feelings upon the world. Even if Maitreya descends, he will warm hearts with true feelings. True feelings surpass wisdom and extraordinary powers. True feelings surpass fame and all teachings. When people treat true feelings as dirt, no matter what path you follow, no matter what supreme saint of the universe you encounter, you have already gone astray. You have already turned your back on the greatest creator. Your future will be shrouded in darkness. 现身说法化人生 Sharing life's wisdom through personal experience. Jiefeng, August 21, 2007. Life presents us with 84,000 paths, each leading to unique experiences and perspectives. While everyone strives to live their best life, the ways we live and the feelings we experience vary greatly. Life itself is a complex topic. Regardless, everyone hopes and works to live a life that is wealthier, freer, healthier, more exciting and meaningful. A life full of joy, promise, and potential. Only those who deeply contemplate life and diligently strive for a better existence can truly understand its essence. They come to realize that the teachings of Jesus and Buddha are invaluable treasures, and they gain profound insights into the wisdom of the sages throughout history. Thanks to the grace of the greatest creator and the teachings of Jesus Christ and Buddha Sakyamuni, my life has entered a miraculous realm. Nowadays, I live like a celestial being. I don't worry about food, clothing, shelter, or transportation. I have no anxieties about life's many concerns. My body is healthy, my mind serene, and my heart filled with joy. I live in an environment of perennial beauty, surrounded by blooming flowers and chirping birds. My life is free from worldly distractions and pressures. I sleep and wake as I please. Every day feels like a weekend, every moment like a holiday. At my age, few can achieve this state of life and being. This blissful life didn't appear out of nowhere. It is the result of divine enlightenment, the guidance of Christ and Buddha, and my own diligent efforts. In other words, it is the outcome of adhering to a correct view of life and life. I often reflect on my childhood friends, classmates, siblings, colleagues, and acquaintances. Comparing our paths, I find that I live the happiest life. This difference stems from the distinct life paths we chose, guided by our differing outlooks on life and values. For instance, I loved studying and reading from a young age. Exaggeratedly speaking, there wasn't a single day I didn't read. I believed in the saying, "In books there is a house of gold. In books there are beauties like jade." Meanwhile, many childhood friends preferred playing or farming over reading. Initially, we all stood at the same starting line, but over time our paths diverged. When they realized how far behind they had fallen, it was too late to catch up. Whenever I visit my hometown and meet old friends, their feelings of inferiority become evident. To them, I seem extraordinary. My siblings also hold me in high regard, treating me more like an esteemed guest than a family member. I often inquire about my middle school classmates' lives. Of the nearly 50 students in my class, over half have left the countryside to find jobs, earning government salaries. Yet, when I compare my life to theirs, I do not envy any of them. On the contrary, they envy my lifestyle, and I can sense their relative self-consciousness when we meet. To them, I am not just an ordinary person. Comparing myself to my technical school, college, and university classmates, few, if any, have surpassed me. While they focus solely on immediate gains, I looked ahead to 5 or 10 years down the line. For example, even before my child was born, I was already planning for his education in the United States, a foresight my peers could hardly match. Take one close friend from middle school as an example. When choosing schools, I aimed for the one farthest from home, while he opted for the nearest. As a result, I went from Gansu to Zhangjiakou, while he attended a local teacher training school. 30 years later, I am still energetic and thriving, while he appears much older and worn. My colleagues, too, rarely compare to me. Most are content with the status quo, hesitant to step outside their comfort zones. They cling to the security of stable jobs and cannot fathom leaving to explore new opportunities. When I decided to leave my job and venture out on my own, they cautioned me. What if you lose your income? What if you have no house? What if you get sick? What if you have nowhere to turn? Today, the problems they worried about are all resolved for me, while they are now grappling with their own what-ifs. My friends are doing well, with the best 6 being department heads. They have solved problems like housing, cars, wives, children, parents, and money better than those around them, earning the respect of their peers. However, they are cogs in a machine while I am the machine itself. I make all my decisions based on my own will, whereas they can only be good cogs in the machine. This is the difference in our mindsets. They still work the 8 to 5 grind while I do what I want when I want. My friends in business are now wealthier than I am. For the past 5 or 6 years, I have been accumulating spiritual and soul wealth, while they have been accumulating material wealth, making it hard for me to compare with them materially. Nevertheless, they will never surpass me in life's ultimate meaning. During a recent gathering after my trip back home, I noticed their overwhelming frustrations despite their immense wealth. Each of them is a multimillionaire, yet they remain troubled, worrying incessantly about business losses, currency devaluation, audits, and disputes with unions over employee issues. One of the wealthiest among them, who owns several enterprises and employs hundreds of workers, lamented, "I've earned enough money to last multiple lifetimes, yet I must keep hustling every day. What else can I do?" His busyness made me feel pity for him. When people are trapped in the pursuit of money, their minds are consumed by considerations of profit and loss. They dismiss spiritual or soul matters as baseless, focusing solely on money as the most tangible and practical means to solve problems. However, no matter how much wealth one accumulates, becoming a slave to money emits a sense of decay. Among the 16 people who went abroad with me, none live as freely and carefreely as I do. I always plan ahead, adapting and improvising when necessary. The old saying goes, preparedness ensures success, while lack of it leads to failure. Life requires foresight, which can be simply understood as having ideals and aspirations. For instance, I began preparing for my move abroad long before it happened. I studied English and resolved to stay permanently from the second day of my arrival. When my contract ended 2 years later, I had seamlessly settled abroad. Others, lacking a clear plan, were at the mercy of fate. Once I set my sights on a goal, I pursue it with unwavering determination. I abandon anything that might hold me back, even if it means giving up titles, records, achievements, jobs, houses, money, and connections. I let myself start from zero. As long as there's a watermelon ahead, I won't waste time picking up sesame seeds along the way. My approach has proven effective. At the slightest dissatisfaction, I walk away. This is my principle. At one workplace, interpersonal conflicts and petty disputes consumed everyone's energy. I thought, this place is not worth staying in. None of this belongs to me anyway. So I left without hesitation. As the saying goes, there is no shortage of green grass under the heavens. Why force myself to get along with incompatible people? If it's enjoyable, we interact. If not, I move on. This attitude toward people, situations, and environments has enabled me to live a life akin to that of a celestial being today. Taiji Celestial has also benefited from my life philosophy. He now enjoys a carefree life, having moved from Shenyang to Rizhao and then to Kunming. Isn't that freedom? One key insight is about ownership. The more you own, the more you are burdened. I avoid ownership because it becomes a tether. I've moved houses almost every year, enjoying the fresh excitement each new environment brings. Owning a house, on the other hand, would tie me down. The more one possesses, the more troubles they have. This is my realization. If any man disagrees, try marrying 10 wives. Or any woman, try marrying 10 husbands. Or any couple, try having 20 children. Or any business owner, try expanding from 1 company to 10 companies. Or try buying 10 large TVs to place in your home, or even 10 large beds if you like. The desire to own reflects a lack of confidence. Ironically, the more you own, the more troubled you become, draining life's precious vitality. A better approach is to own nothing yet have access to everything. That's the essence of a fulfilling life. In the writings of Chen Kuan Celestial, the concept of transforming consciousness is discussed, which is a great treasure for life. People must continuously transform their consciousness. To understand it in a simple way, imagine yourself standing in a certain environment. Looking straight ahead, you see one scenery. Then, turning to your right, you see a different scenery. Turning around to look behind you, the scenery changes again. This is the essence of transforming consciousness. For instance, if a person or environment makes you uncomfortable, don't fixate on it, move on. When one door closes, others open, but only if you stop fixating on the closed one. Do not let a theory, doctrine, or worldview that makes you uncomfortable bind you. Life is short and so precious. Why should I listen to you? Why should I go against my own will and personality to follow your rules? I will live in a way that brings me happiness and joy. Why should I abide by your teachings? Why should I let you block the information I need or deprive me of another possible path in life? My life is mine to decide. I am the most remarkable person. Why should I bow down to anyone? If your temper and personality clash with mine, why should I entangle myself with you? Of course, this requires unconventional thinking. You need to cultivate your own mental strength. When the power of your own thinking surpasses that of a theory or doctrine, you will no longer be bound by it. Traditional ideas are also a kind of mental force, restricting everyone's thoughts and actions. However, if you dare to disdain them, they will lose their grip on you. I've said enough for now, time to stop. 实话实说话人生一 Speaking honestly about life, part 1 being praised feels so good. Deiform Buddha. When I was about 5 or 6 years old, my grandmother, parents, and the adults around me often praised me, saying, "This kid has a bright future." From that moment, a subconscious aspiration to have a bright future was born within me. If I was destined for greatness, then I had to stand out from others. Even at a young age, I tried to show the demeanor of a philosopher. When playing with my peers, I was often the one in charge. I wasn't afraid of what others feared, dared to do what others wouldn't, and once I made a decision, no one could change it. In terms of academics, I naturally aimed to be at the top. From a private preschool to elementary school, middle school, technical school, college, and university, I wasn't the best in every subject, but I was almost always among the top students in my class. After all, I had a bright future. At the private school I attended, there were more than 60 students. The school focused on literacy, so some classmates were more than 10 years older than me. Yet, I held the position of class monitor. During elementary school, which coincided with the Cultural Revolution, every school formed its own Red Guards company. Naturally, the highest position, company commander, was mine. Other students carried long spears or bayonets, but I carried a pistol. Whenever there was a chance to stand out, Whether it was shouting slogans or giving speeches, it was always me in the spotlight. In middle school, however, my reputation took a hit when a secret romance of mine was exposed, earning me some infamy. For a few years, I had to let others take the position of class monitor, but I still often served as vice monitor. When I entered technical school, college, and university, where my peers and teachers were unaware of my past, I easily reclaimed the throne of class monitor, as I was, after all, destined for greatness. The phoenix in the sky. When I was in the 4th grade, my homeroom teacher, Teacher Yang, once pointed to me in front of nearly 60 classmates and said, "He's a phoenix in the sky." Then, pointing to the rest of the class, she said, "You are all hens on the ground." My joy and pride soared. From that moment on, I secretly regarded myself as a phoenix in the sky. Since I was destined for greatness and was a phoenix in the sky, I felt I needed to behave more maturely than others. But how could I show maturity? That's right, by falling in love. By the 5th grade, I was already 12 years old, practically an adult, and it was time to think about getting a wife. There was a girl in my class named Yang Xiulan, who had transferred from the big city of Lanzhou. She was lively, cheerful, and beautiful, the most stunning girl in the class. As a phoenix in the sky, it seemed only natural that the most beautiful classmate should belong to me. Everything originates in the mind, and all phenomena are created by consciousness. With her in my heart, my attitude and behavior toward her naturally changed. I can't recall exactly how we dated back then. I swear to Chairman Mao, I never kissed her or held her hand. I only remember the affair causing quite a stir, becoming a hot topic of gossip wherever I went. Even my parents found out. My father scrutinized me a few times but didn't punish me harshly, while my kind-hearted mother didn't scold me much either. I vividly remember confidently telling her, "You don't need to worry about me finding a wife." As it turned out, I really didn't let my parents worry about that. Chasing the heavenly fairy. In middle school, when Xiulan's parents disapproved of me marrying their precious daughter, I quickly moved on. After all, I had to keep my word to my parents. Soon, I set my sights on another classmate who was later nicknamed the 7th Fairy. She was breathtakingly beautiful like a goddess. A match between a heavenly fairy and a phoenix seemed like destiny, and so I pursued her. This pursuit lasted 10 years. Those 10 years became some of the most cherished memories of my life. Struggles of a phoenix in the fields. After graduating high school in 1975 at the age of 18, I returned to the countryside to farm. The feeling of being destined for greatness and being a phoenix in the sky tormented me. Had I lost my future? Was I no longer a phoenix? I couldn't be like everyone else. Otherwise, I'd have disappointed my family, teachers, and those who had praised me. I visited a Xinhua bookstore in Linxia City and bought several books on radio technology, determined to research it and build my own radio. But I soon realized this great plan was impractical. I couldn't afford the components. Desperate times called for desperate measures. Note that desperate here isn't just about poverty. I decided to switch to something more feasible, becoming a doctor. I bought several medical books, especially on traditional Chinese medicine, and began studying 8 principles of diagnosis, pathogenesis, 24 pulses, and pharmacology. Just as I was preparing to test my skills, the senior secretary of the village came to me and said, "You're not an ordinary young man. How about becoming the secretary of the Youth League branch and the village's clerk?" A not ordinary young man. Beautiful. I was destined for greatness, a phoenix in the sky, and not an ordinary young man. Some say, a lie repeated 1,000 times becomes the truth. Since everyone said so, I began to believe I wasn't ordinary. Even my wife, who cherished me like a treasure, often praised me, saying I was a real man. She would imply that I was a man of great fortune, almost someone who never needed to lift a finger. Honestly, she worried I might elope someday, so she treated me with extraordinary care. My children also flattered me, exclaiming, "Dad is amazing." Along the way, colleagues and acquaintances showered me with endless praise. Today in Lifachanuan, both male and female celestials praise me daily, making me feel once again like a phoenix in the sky. This is how confidence grows. Ambitions swell. Factory director or company manager. Not interested. Provincial governor or minister. Boring. Sometimes I wonder, What if I became a national president? But after some thought, it doesn't seem worth striving for. If I were to aim for anything, it would be to become the president of the world, unifying all under one faith. A touch of madness? Perhaps I've lost my mind? Hold on, even being the president of the world no longer appeals to me. The green mountains endure, but life is fleeting. What's worth pursuing in this ephemeral existence? If I must seek something, it should be supreme enlightenment. I must first understand my origins and destiny. I cannot drift through life in ignorance, unsure of what to do when death comes tomorrow. I must be someone, because I'm not an ordinary young man. I'm a phoenix in the sky, and phoenixes don't belong on the ground, they should soar in the heavens. To be continued. 实话实说话人生二，赞美使人完美，挑剔使人残缺。Speaking honestly about life, Part 2 Praise perfects, criticism diminishes. Deform Buddha. I was raised and have grown up amidst praise. If I had power, wealth, beauty, or influence, I might need to exercise some caution. However, I am an ordinary citizen, a commoner from a humble background. Naturally, I lack confidence and carry a heavy sense of inferiority. Without the warmth of praise and the nurturing rain of encouragement, I might have withered long ago. I am a staunch believer and practitioner of the Pygmalion effect. This well-known psychological concept suggests that if people around someone regard them as a great person, they are likely to become one. Conversely, if people label someone as a scoundrel, that individual may come to embody that role. I taught middle school for 5 years, and both students and their parents liked me because I often praised my students. They particularly enjoyed my English classes. One year, my class achieved top results in a citywide English exam, surpassing dozens of other schools and excelling far beyond our district's average. This earned me a third-class merit award, a testament to the power of praise. I employed the same approach with my brothers. I lavished praise on my 2 older brothers, and in turn they doted on me, never letting me do any hard labor at home. They took care of all the heavy work. With my 3 younger brothers, I also found every opportunity to praise them. They treated me like royalty, happily taking care of small tasks like pouring tea or serving meals. Between the heavy lifting my older brothers did, and the lighter chores handled by my younger brothers, I lived a carefree and harmonious life. From childhood to adulthood, I never had arguments, fights, or disputes with my 5 brothers. How blessed and free my life has been. My wife has a saying, "My husband's only talent is making me happy." Over 2 decades of sweet talking have given her some resistance to it. Simple flattery no longer works, so I've laid it out plainly. Even if you resent me, please humor me. As long as you keep me happy every day will feel like a good one for me. If you make me happy for a lifetime, I'll be eternally grateful. The same applies in reverse. When it comes to our child, I've rarely been strict. Others say most families follow the pattern of a stern father and kind mother, but in our house it's the opposite, a kind father and stern mother. This is indeed true. I often praise my child, saying, "You're unique, sensible, intelligent, and mature beyond your years. You're also filial and will surely achieve greatness." This encouragement paid off, and my child graduated high school with top marks. If finances had allowed, attending Harvard wouldn't have been out of the question. Nonetheless, he graduated from a prestigious American university with excellent grades. Moreover, because I often praised his filial piety, he cooked nearly all our family dinners during his 6 years of secondary school, doing so with great enthusiasm. Huanying Celestial of Life Changyuan introduced the concept of Changyuan flattery. This means that in Life Changyuan, members focus on praising and encouraging each other, rather than criticizing or nitpicking. In Life Changyuan, I fully embrace this approach. Male members are like celestial beings, and female members are like fairies. The community includes Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and heavenly beings. Every man is handsome and charismatic, and every woman is beautiful and virtuous. They are all seeds of future civilization in the era of Life Changyuan. Similarly, they shower me with praise, leaving me feeling buoyant and inspired. If Li Bai could compose 100 poems after a few drinks, I could write thousands of articles after receiving their encouragement. The more they praise me, the more energetic I become. Without it for 3 days, I'd feel deflated. Life is but a dream, so why not treat it as play? In Life a Genuine, we're not pursuing grand achievements but are like playful old and young children indulging in joyful games. We humor each other, exchange compliments, and have so much fun that we forget the worries of the mundane world. Serious matters of the human world are treated as mere games. My goal is to flatter and praise everyone until we all reach the Celestial Islands continent. And what will we do there? Continue playing games in paradise. I've discovered a little secret. People who can genuinely praise and encourage others have beautiful hearts. Those who nitpick and criticize have imperfect hearts, as their flaws drive them to point out others' shortcomings. Praise and encouragement are like sunshine and rain, while criticism and nitpicking are like storms. Praise and encouragement perfect people, whereas criticism and nitpicking diminish them. However, my conclusion comes with a caveat. It applies only to ordinary civilians like us. In the arenas of business, politics, and warfare, things might be different. Hey, fellow commoners and ordinary folk, let's practice more praise and encouragement. Why not give Chanyuan flattery a try? To be continued. 实话实说话人生3. Speaking honestly about life 3 Love for change. Dayform Buddha. December 5, 2006. Character determines destiny, and I've never been someone who could settle down. I can't bear staying in one place too long or eating the same food repeatedly. I've held over 20 different jobs, moved 15 times, and lived in 17 places for more than 4 months each. My favorite sayings are, "The world is my home," and "A true man should aspire to travel far and wide." Each change feels like a rebirth, a bit like Columbus discovering a new world. Take housing and the environment, for example. Every home I've lived in had a unique layout and surroundings, and the novelty would last for months. The most captivating were exotic villas with sprawling, crystal-clear pools, meticulously designed back gardens, spacious front yards surrounded by lush greenery and lawns, and 2 large German shepherds playfully running around, while gardeners in uniforms tended the grounds. The houses featured expansive living rooms, dining areas, bedrooms, bathrooms, and kitchens. Cars could drive directly into garages, and from the study window, I could see foreigners strolling by outside the fenced yard. It was pure comfort. Among the jobs I've held, my favorites were shepherding and interpreting. Shepherding was marvelous, relaxing, and romantic. Wandering through riverbanks, meadows, hills, and ditches, I could indulge in the beauty of nature. With a whip in hand and a tune on my lips, I'd stroll leisurely or lie on the grass, watching the drift of clouds and the free flight of swans, swallows, sparrows, and eagles. Lying on the grass, my thoughts would drift far away, and I felt completely at ease. It was truly relaxing. As an interpreter, I especially enjoyed it when my boss sent me on solo assignments, driving alone with my favorite songs playing and speeding at 160 kilometers per hour. It felt exhilarating. I particularly loved driving through African jungles. Occasionally, I'd stop by huts built by locals deep in the forest, exchange a few words, and if I saw a pretty local girl, I'd say, "Hi, beauty. I love you." Their laughter brought me joy before I continued exploring. Embracing change. This love for change naturally keeps me from being overly attached to people, things, or places. I know there are even more wonderful places and friendlier people ahead. The problem now is I've grown tired of Earth and want to visit paradise. Where's paradise? I've read Buddhist sutras, the Bible, the Quran, the Tao Te Ching, fairy tales, and mythological novels. But sadly, heaven's image is unclear, and the path uncertain. What should I do? I can't stay on this tiny Earth forever. The Earth is too small. With just a few flaps of your wings, you've seen it all. It's no fun anymore. The universe is vast, surely filled with more stunning places to explore. After much searching, I finally found a few ideal destinations: the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Islands continent in the Elysium world. The 1,000-year world offers abundant food. No families, no nations, no political parties, and no religions. Everyone is equal and enjoys a vibrant life without conflict, anxiety, sadness, or exploitation. It's far more enjoyable than life on Earth. The 10,000-year world is filled with people as beautiful as flowers and landscapes as magnificent as paintings. Resources are plentiful, and the most magical part is that people can walk or fly at will. It's like a happy fairy tale world, perfect for someone like me who loves to play. The Celestial Islands continent of the Elysium world is absolutely breathtaking. Everyone there possesses supernatural abilities and extraordinary powers. It has 80 billion celestial islands, each the size of Earth. Every individual can own an island, becoming its master and living however they please. In comparison, life on Earth is pitiful, like ants crammed in a nest or frogs stuck in a well. It's dull and uninteresting. How do you get there? It's as simple as turning your hand. If you want to know, just serve me some tea and cheer me up. I'll share the secret. My innate love for change. This love for change is in my nature. Perhaps it's this innate love for change that led me to discover these new worlds. Those confined to their familiar surroundings, where the seasons alternate year-round, often believe the entire world experiences the same. They can't imagine that some places on Earth have eternal spring or summer. Similarly, those confined to Earth think it's vast and believe humans can only live here. They can't fathom a far larger world waiting for us, places we can easily migrate to. Don't you ever feel the urge to shake things up? 实话实说话人生事，滴血也要潇洒. Speaking honestly about life for a dashing spirit even while bleeding. Deform Buddha. Having experienced the Cultural Revolution, one of Chairman Mao's instructions left a profound mark on me. Marxism, in 1,000 words and sentences, boils down to one: rebellion is justified. I suppose I was born with a rebellious streak, like someone with horns on their head and thorns on their body. I've always lived by sayings like, if the east doesn't shine, the west will. Or when one door closes, another opens. Another favorite of mine has been, as long as the moon reflects on the lakes and rivers, there's no need to worry about where to cast your fishing line. First rebellion. Against my primary school teacher. At nearly 7 years old, I had my first act of defiance. My teacher, Mr. Chi, was writing math test questions on the blackboard. Eager to prove myself, I completed them in under 10 minutes and, feeling triumphant, rushed to him. Teacher Chi, I've finished. I was expecting praise but was instead shocked when he angrily flung my notebook to the floor. Bewildered and humiliated, I wondered what I had done wrong. Someone whispered to me, "It's Mr. Chi, not Teacher Chi." I realized my mistake, but the teacher's reaction deeply hurt my self-esteem. Silently, I picked up my notebook, glared at him and left the classroom. I never stepped foot in it again. Looking back now, I can't entirely blame him. If Mr. Chi had learned English, he might have found Teacher Chi similar to Mr. Chi, and let it slide. Perhaps it was an early sign of my natural affinity for English. Second rebellion. Standing my ground. This was against another teacher during my first year at formal elementary school. A female classmate sitting in front of me had her tooth broken by a rock thrown by another student. The teacher, assuming I was the culprit, asked me to stand up and reprimanded me in front of the whole class. I shouted, "I didn't throw the rock." Eventually, the real culprit confessed, and the teacher told me to sit down. But I refused. Furious and indignant, I stood for the rest of the class thinking, you humiliate me, I'll make you uncomfortable too. Looking back, I regret it. My stubbornness must have embarrassed my teacher, Ms. Lee. Poor teacher. Third rebellion. Against my mother. At around 9 years old, I had a quarrel with my loving and kind mother. The details are fuzzy, but I remember refusing to eat for 3 whole days, bringing her to tears. She wanted to slap me but couldn't bring herself to do it. I've written about this in detail in my heartfelt reflection commemorating the 3rd anniversary of my mother's passing. Fourth rebellion. Against my boss. The 4th act of rebellion was against the head of my work unit. I had already been informally designated for the 3rd-tier leadership position. The head called me into his office, gave me a long lecture and finally said, "You still need to be tested." I was furious. Wasn't this just a way to keep me in a subservient position? A few days later, I requested a transfer. A few months later, I was transferred to another work unit. Fine, test someone else. 5th rebellion abroad. The 5th time was while I was working overseas. During a meeting, my boss falsely accused me of wrongdoing. Furious, I stood up in front of everyone and declared, "Boss, I quit. You can do it yourself." Then I walked out with my head held high. These were just a few examples. I've rebelled countless times. Questioning authority. When I read the Tao Te Ching, I felt Laozi left too many things unsaid. If you're going to speak, why not finish the thought? Instead, he left behind 3,000 cryptic words and then vanished, leaving me to decipher his riddles. How frustrating! The Buddhist sutras were no better. Despite teaching for over 40 years, the Buddha neglected humanity's material needs and ignored our innate nature, deviating from the greatest creator's intended design. His teachings left behind many unresolved puzzles for me to fix. What a hassle! The Bible too left me perplexed. It didn't answer many of my pressing questions. Besides, why didn't Jesus lead humanity directly into the era of Life Genuine? Leaving at such a young age only added to the burden left for me to bear. The Internationale sings it best. Creating happiness for humanity and ourselves requires two things. My ultimate revelation. I've finally found the path. To create happiness for humanity and ourselves, we must rely on two things. The greatest creator in ourselves. Rebellion is liberating, but it comes at a cost, grace tinged with pain. Even in elegance, the wounds still bleed. 实话实说话人生五，人生需要导游. Speaking honestly about life v. Life needs guides. Deform Buddha. December 12, 2006. A guide is someone who shows us the way, not someone who carries us along the path. To have the fortune of encountering one or several guides in life is an immense blessing. Figures like Jesus, Sakyamuni, Muhammad, and Laozi are the greatest guides in human history. However, I want to discuss the guides we encounter in everyday life. Those who may seem ordinary but illuminate critical turning points on our journey. My first guide. The first guide in my life was Guoxinjian, the principal of Jiuquan Education College. Once, during a chance meeting on the road, he said to me, "Never stay long in a place that doesn't align with your ideals." This advice was like a lighthouse that illuminated my path ahead. It set me on the course of seeking an environment that suited me, helping me avoid a life of misery. His words ultimately played a role in my decision to found Life Genuine. My second guide. My second guide was my close friend Xue Binyi. His thinking was unconventional. He often glimpsed a different world within commonly accepted norms. For example, his concept of visualized thinking was a unique discovery. Whenever possible, we would gather and engage in wide-ranging conversations, which benefited me immensely. At just over 30 years old, he was already leading a large geophysical exploration team and mentoring a group of individuals, of whom I was one. My third guide. My third guide is my current wife. An ordinary woman, she possesses exceptional foresight and wisdom. Her guidance transcends mundane interests and directly addresses the core themes of life. For example, when I was considering going abroad, a leader at my workplace urged me to stay, hinting that I could succeed him as the head of a mechanical processing plant. Given my strong theoretical and practical foundation in mechanical engineering, this was a tempting offer. I hesitated. Should I stay and strive for this position, or go abroad to work as an interpreter? I discussed this dilemma with my wife, and she decisively said, "A true man's ambition should reach far beyond his current circumstances. Don't just focus on immediate benefits. Even if you become the plant manager or a provincial governor, wouldn't you still be just a cog in the machine? Go abroad." Her firm words resolved my doubts, and I embarked on a journey abroad. This decision allowed me to experience foreign cultures, engage with people from diverse cultural backgrounds, study the Bible in church, and witness the lives of Christians, all of which laid a vital foundation for the birth of Life Genuine. Gratitude for guides. I am deeply grateful to my guides. Without their wisdom, I would have been left to grope blindly, like Xie Sun desperately deciphering the secrets of the dragon saber, or someone lost in the spider's web cave. Every true mentor hopes their disciples will ultimately surpass them. Only disciples who transcend their mentors can be deemed excellent, and only then can the mentor feel fulfilled and joyful. I strive to surpass my mentors to repay their grace and teachings. I regard Jesus, Sakyamuni, Muhammad, Laozi, and Mao Zedong as my mentors and work diligently to go beyond them. I believe my current endeavors align with the wishes of my guides and the purposes of my mentors. Life needs guides and mentors. Life without guides or mentors is a bewildered life, a sorrowful existence. At present, I view the celestial members of Life Genuine as my guides and mentors. Every day I eagerly absorb their wisdom, humor, and wit, drawing nourishment from their insightful words. Their selfless love and spirit of dedication inspire me to climb toward the highest realms of life and existence. Without the soil and environment of Life-Genuine, my life would remain barren. I will always need guides. 实话实说话人生6劳动奉献是快乐的源泉. Speaking honestly about life, 6 labor and dedication as source of joy. Jiefeng. April 21, 2007. For 8 years I labored tirelessly without earning a penny. Yet those years were the happiest of my life. From 1994 to 1995, I traveled incessantly within the 600-kilometer stretch between Bulawayo and Victoria Falls, covering nearly 250,000 kilometers in 2 years. I traveled from village to village and school to school, working tirelessly day and night. My job was to serve as an interpreter for a well drilling team, though in reality I handled all sorts of odd tasks: purchasing materials, managing relationships, scouting drilling sites, arranging accommodations for the team, organizing villagers to build roads, supervising workers, and serving as an interpreter for the leadership, among other duties. There were no holidays or weekends during this period, and I worked at least 10 hours daily, often returning to my temporary quarters at midnight. After grabbing a quick bite, I'd collapse into bed, only to rise early the next day and begin again. At one point, due to a lack of vehicles, I drove an open-top Jeep that had to be jump-started by other vehicles each day. Once running, I didn't dare turn off the engine during the day. The Jeep had numerous quirks. Its drive shaft frequently detached, the headlights failed to work at night, and the steering wheel had a significant lag, requiring half a rotation before the tires responded, often with a sudden sharp turn. 2 incidents stand out. One night at around 10 p.m., I was leading a convoy through a jungle without roads during a relocation. Since my Jeep's headlights didn't work, a large truck behind me provided illumination. As the interpreter, I was the only one familiar with the route, so I had to lead the way. That night, I relied entirely on intuition to drive, yet we safely reached our destination. The local workers joked, "You could be our president's driver." On another occasion, facing an emergency, I drove over 60 kilometers in complete darkness along the national highway from Bulawayo to Victoria Falls. With no lights, I navigated by the faint contrast between treetops and the sky. At the time, I felt no fear, but looking back, I realized I was gambling with my life. But life often compels us into such situations, driven by forces beyond our control. During these 2 grueling years, it was said I would earn 60,000 yuan. However, because I defied organizational arrangements and stayed abroad, I never received the money. I've never asked for it either. Though I didn't earn a single penny, I gained a treasure trove of happiness. Driving along paved roads, dirt paths, bumpy tracks, washboard surfaces, muddy trails, and jungle paths, I experienced the joy of constant discovery, like finding a new village beyond the shaded willows. It was thrilling and exhilarating. I frequently interacted with an American and a Zimbabwean supervisor engineer. We had endless conversations, even laughing uproariously while comparing the differences between women of different races, such as Asian, African, and European women. The simplicity, sincerity, kindness, and generosity of the locals often moved me to tears. When I organized tasks for villagers, they would work enthusiastically. Whenever water flowed from a newly dug well, the entire village would gather to dance their traditional dances, so admirable and endearing. There were many group activities. A dozen Chinese colleagues dined, worked, and slept together, sharing stories from all over China, often making us laugh until we cried. Losing myself in labor and dedication elevated my character. I felt noble and often dreamed of making the world a happier place for kind and impoverished people. Their dreams became my dreams. Since 2002, I have devoted myself to creating the values of Life-Genuine. For 6 years, I've written over 1,000 articles, amounting to nearly 2 million words. I closed my company and ceased all business activities, incurring economic losses of at least 1 million yuan. To this day, my writing hasn't brought me a single penny, and I've become increasingly poor. Yet my joy and happiness have only grown. Establishing Life-Genuine has provided a spiritual and soul home. I've found many like-minded friends, and now we gather in this home as brothers and sisters. Together, we enjoy emotional, spiritual, and soul freedom. It feels like we've already entered the 1,000-year world of heaven. To have one confidant in life is rare, but I've gained dozens of soulmates with whom I share life and death. This kind of wealth is immeasurable. Such are the fruits of labor and dedication. True happiness lies in the selfless process of labor and giving. Though I've become economically poor, I am spiritually and soulfully enriched, a blessing from the greatest creator. If this spirit spreads widely, humanity will surely enter the blissful Life-Genuine era. Tanda, 好可怕的爱. Oh my God, what terrifying love. Deiform Buddha. May 10, 2006. Someone captured a free-flying bird, confined it in a cage to admire, and shamelessly declared, "I love birds." Someone prevented their 8 or 9-year-old child from dressing themselves or playing outdoors, instead forcing them to study incessantly and suppressing their innate nature, yet solemnly and proudly claimed, "I love my child." Someone obstructed their divorced mother from remarrying, self-righteously asserting, "I love my mother." Someone monitored their spouse's every move, flying into a rage at any interaction with the opposite sex, creating chaos at home, disturbing the neighbors and exhausting their loved ones, yet shouted with all their might, "I love him or her." Someone discovered their partner's infidelity and responded with violence and threats, yet swore with conviction, "I love you." Someone stole public assets to embellish their home and felt no shame in proclaiming, "I love my family." Someone adorned their home to be lavish and spotless but swept their trash outside without a hint of guilt, proudly claiming, "I love cleanliness." Someone invaded another country, committing arson, robbery, and murder, yet shamelessly declared, "I love my homeland." Someone recklessly destroyed natural resources while brazenly professing, "I love the people of my hometown. I love the masses." Someone enclosed themselves in a narrow religious bubble, preventing their followers from embracing new ideas and perspectives, yet shamelessly announced, "I love you all." Someone persecuted dissenters and boldly declared, "I love my party. I love my faith." Someone wielded bayonets and embraced atomic bombs with reckless abandon, proclaiming, "I love life. I love peace." A wolf killed a lamb to feed its cubs, its mouth dripping with blood, and proudly declared to the entire forest, "I love my children." Someone indiscriminately dumped trash everywhere, unfazed and unashamed, yet declared, "I love nature." Someone bullied kind and honest people while fervently swearing, "I love God." Oh my God, what terrifying love. 不要以爱的名义对他人进行精神和心灵的控制. Do not use love as a justification for spiritual and soul control. Jiefeng. November 24, 2009. Great love is like a mountain, silent and steadfast. The greatest Creator's love for us is unwavering and eternal, never expressed in human language. If love comes with conditions, if it needs words to be expressed, or if it demands reciprocation, then it is not great love, it is small love. How many loves drift by like passing clouds, ever changing in form? How many loves are fleeting encounters, shifting with the seasons? How many loves begin with solemn vows but wither into lifeless silence? How many loves start with fiery passion, only to decay into stench and rot? Such love is not true love. It is love born of selfish desire. Love that comes with conditions ceases to be love. It becomes a tool for binding and strangling the other under the guise of love. True love is the harmonious dance of two hearts in sync. If you make the other person feel guilty or indebted in the name of love, then you are using love as a means of spiritual and emotional control. True love does not require enticements, promises, guarantees, or obligations. It is entirely voluntary, like the spontaneous collision of clouds charged with opposite energies, the natural merging of two rivers, or the seamless blending of milk and water. Love that relies on money, possessions, power, status, beauty, youth, or any other external factor is selfish scheming, not true love. True love fully respects the other's freedom. If love restricts or robs someone of their freedom, it is not love. It is deception, exploitation, and control masquerading as love, inflicting spiritual and emotional torment. The following behaviors illustrate how love can be misused to exert spiritual and emotional control over others. Emotional manipulation through words and promises. Statements like, "I will love you forever. Without you, I can't live. Apart from you, I will never be with anyone else. I am willing to die for you and dedicate everything to you. In this life, I will never pursue anyone else but you. You are my everything." Remember my words and vows. My love for you is sacred and must not be tainted or desecrated. I love you so deeply that without your love, life is meaningless to me. I'd rather die. Such declarations are not expressions of true love. They are cunning manipulations disguised as love, often the most selfish and ruthless kind. Control through overbearing care. Constantly showering the other with gifts, creating favorable conditions, speaking sweet words, and offering meticulous care can turn into a form of control. This imposes invisible pressure, making the other feel indebted and ultimately aiming to bind them to your will. Emotional blackmail through extreme reactions. When dissatisfied with the other's words or actions, pretending to be deeply hurt, despondent, crying, or engaging in extreme behaviors like threatening self-harm are all tactics of spiritual and emotional control. These behaviors aim to tighten your grip on the other person. Unrealistic promises of responsibility and protection. Statements like, I will ensure your happiness for a lifetime. I will take full responsibility for you. As long as you stay faithful, I will protect you. My life is dedicated to you. Such promises are reckless and irresponsible. As humans, we cannot even predict tomorrow, let alone guarantee someone else's lifelong happiness or shoulder their responsibilities. Let birds fly freely and flowers bloom naturally. There is no need to create golden cages for birds or transplant flowers from the earth into your bedroom for careful tending. This world will keep turning, and flowers will continue to bloom, whether anyone stays or leaves. When one door closes, 9 others open. No one is indispensable, and life often becomes more joyful and free after separation. Therefore, Chanyuan Celestials must stop using cunning schemes to exert spiritual and emotional control over others. Adapt to circumstances, flow with destiny, act in harmony with your nature, and live spontaneously. This applies to life, work, and love. Any attempt to scheme or perpetually possess love is the behavior of a demon and a desecration of love. No matter the reason or form, no matter how great or extraordinary we believe ourselves to be, even if we consider ourselves saviors, we must never impose spiritual and emotional control over others. 树立为家员工师们服务之心. Cultivate a heart to serve the meritorious contributors of the home. Jiefeng. September 27, 2009. Dear brothers, sisters, relatives, and lovers of our home, we are blessed to have this warm and welcoming home thanks to 2 key factors: the grace of ancestral Buddha, the greatest creator, and the contributions of everyone involved, especially the selfless dedication of the meritorious contributors of our home. We express our gratitude to ancestral Buddha, the greatest creator, and extend heartfelt thanks to the meritorious contributors. Day after day, these contributors have devoted their precious youth, invaluable time, and boundless energy selflessly to the construction of our home. They are our role models embodying the spirit of the times. They are the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of today. For many years, these meritorious contributors have followed the guide, clearing obstacles and overcoming countless internal and external challenges. Through their selfless devotion, they have created a spiritual oasis, our second home, amidst the desolate plains of human hearts. We are profoundly grateful to you, our meritorious contributors. I, Jiefeng, bow to you and thank you for your tremendous contributions to humanity. As the saying goes, when drinking water, never forget the one who dug the well. We must always remember the meritorious contributors. As our home moves toward greater prosperity, we must never forget them. Serving these contributors is not only a form of virtuous work, but also a means of accumulating wealth for our journey to the heavenly kingdom. It is a mark of our moral integrity as members of Life Chanyuan. As long as we have even one meal left, we must first offer it to the meritorious contributors. Those who have given should receive. Those who have given much should receive much. This reflects the fairness of the heavenly way and showcases the nobility of our character. Let us cultivate a heart to serve the meritorious contributors of our home, alleviating their worries and ensuring that those who give will gain while those who do not give will not gain. This is the essence of the second home and will define the era of Life Chanyuan. If we act in this way, the ultimate beneficiaries will be ourselves. 爱的警示. A warning about love. Jiefeng. November 24, 2009. Love has its own frequency. Only love of the same frequency can resonate. Love must be sought with love. A loveless heart cannot find love. Money is not love. You cannot find love with money. Power is not love. You cannot find love with power. Fame is not love. You cannot find love with fame. Beauty is not love. You cannot find love with beauty. Houses, cars, and gardens are not love. You cannot find love with houses, cars, or gardens. Love is a free blossom. Care is not love. Management is not love. Love does not need management. Prevention is not love. Love does not need to be guarded against. Promises are not love. Love does not need promises. Oaths and pledges are not love. Love does not need solemn vows. Oaths and pledges are not love. Love does not need solemn vows. Monitoring is not love. Love cannot be monitored. Control is not love. Love cannot be controlled. Love is not sex. Sex cannot control love. To obtain love, you must first understand love. Then seek love and protect love with love. If you do not understand love, if you lack a selfless heart of love, you will never find love or receive love. Love is natural and genuine. It cannot be faked or fabricated. It cannot be bound by laws, rules, or regulations. It cannot be sustained through tears, tantrums, or threats. It cannot be constrained by scolding, violence, or coercion. Attempts to monitor, manage, or control love will only backfire, leaving nothing but lifelong regret. If you desire love, seek it with love, and protect it with love. 天国财宝及其计算法 Heavenly Treasures and How to Calculate. Jiefeng. November 29, 2009. Jesus Christ taught that to enter the kingdom of the greatest creator, one must accumulate treasures in heaven. So, what treasures belong to heaven? I have shared a universal key to unlock all mysteries: consciousness, structure, and energy. Whether tangible or intangible, all treasures fall under the category of energy. What is energy? Energy is the capacity to form non-material structures and sustain the operation of life and non-living matter. Energy can be classified into three types: material energy, spiritual energy, and soul energy. Material energy includes light, electricity, wind, heat, proteins, chemical reactions, such as those in food nutrition, and various forms of kinetic energy. Spiritual energy refers to elements like friendship, familial love, knowledge, experience, skills, wealth, reputation, status, power, beauty, and other types of potential energy. Soul energy includes faith in the greatest creator, gods, Buddhas, celestial beings, and the kingdom of heaven, belief in and yearning for a bright future, friendship, romantic and sexual affection, wisdom, truth, kindness, beauty, love, music, dance, poetry, and other forms of artistic beauty. Heavenly treasures primarily pertain to soul energy. Material and spiritual energy are not considered heavenly treasures. How to accumulate heavenly treasures? Revering the greatest creator, life, and nature, and following the way of the greatest creator stores treasures in heaven. Selflessly giving love stores treasures in heaven. Resolving grievances and hatred, bringing peace, harmony, and warmth to others in society stores treasures in heaven. Harboring kind thoughts and performing good deeds stores treasures in heaven. Praising the greatest creator and the sages and saints of various traditions, such as Jesus Christ, Buddha Sakyamuni, Laozi, and Prophet Muhammad. Celebrating life, living, others, and protecting nature stores treasures in heaven. Instilling confidence in life, inspiring hope for a better future, and alleviating anxiety, sorrow, fear, and worry in others is storing treasures in heaven. Offering pure, beautiful romantic and sexual love that causes no harm to others' mind, spirit, or body stores treasures in heaven. Fully showcasing your artistic beauty stores treasures in heaven. Actions that deplete heavenly treasures. Blaspheming the greatest creator or insulting gods, Buddhas, celestial beings, saints, and sages. Harming and abusing life. Destroying nature. Harboring hatred, jealousy, complaints, and blame. Engaging in disputes, arguments, fights, competitions, or seizing and plundering others' energy. Creating fear, panic, and deceit. Causing pain, anxiety, trouble, and misfortune for others. Threatening or controlling others physically, spiritually, or emotionally. Suppressing human nature. How to calculate the accumulation of heavenly treasures. Heavenly treasures are not easy to measure precisely. While we can calculate how much money we have in a bank, it's hard to measure how much treasure we've stored in heaven. To estimate, compare the 8 ways to accumulate treasures in heaven against the 8 ways they can be depleted. Subtracting the losses from the gains gives an approximate heavenly treasure balance. Here's a simpler analogy. When you visit a friend's home, how long you can stay and the warmth of their hospitality depends on the strength of your relationship and what you've contributed to their life. This reflects the treasure you've stored with them. As a member of Life Genuine, you can similarly assess how much treasure you've accumulated in this spiritual home. This assessment helps you see if you're ready to enter Life Genuine's second home or the utopian paradise. If your accumulation is sufficient, you can enter any time. If it's insufficient, you'll need to continue building treasures here. Once you've entered, if you stop accumulating and start depleting your treasures, the day you exhaust your accumulated treasures will be the day you must leave the second home in utopian paradise. The accumulation of heavenly treasures, their calculation, your qualifications for entering heaven, and how long you can stay there can all be understood through these examples. The above primarily answers questions raised by Wanmin Celestial. 做人自然最为美. Being natural is the most beautiful way to be human. Jiefeng. April 11, 2010. The way of the greatest creator is the way of nature. When people emulate nature, follow its course, embrace it and love it, they naturally walk in the way of the greatest creator. Anything deceitful, contrived, excessively artificial, restrictive, or that violates one's innate nature deviates from his way. Look at the natural world. It is so orderly and harmonious. Flowers bloom naturally whether admired or not, whether growing in bustling gardens or desolate wilderness. They bloom as they are without complaint or regret. They do not feel ashamed if no one appreciates them, nor do they resent harsh environments, poor soil, or the brilliance of other flowers. Flowers neither envy nor hate, they simply are. Flowers are Buddhas, the spirits of the greatest creator. Humans should learn from flowers and from nature. What can we learn from flowers and nature? Learn to bloom freely. Whether you are a peony or a wildflower, red or white, as long as you bloom fully in accordance with your nature, you will live without regret. That is to be a Buddha, an angel. There's no need to compare, resent, envy, or blame yourself. Learn to be unique. Every being has its own destiny and value within nature's embrace. The greatest creator has endowed each with distinct traits and a unique path. There is no need to imitate others or mimic their ways. Be true to your unique existence. Grow and fade with the flow of nature, without forcing anything. Learn to be independent. While all things in nature are interconnected, they are also independent. Unlike human society, which often emphasizes relationships, everything in nature thrives on its own vitality, nurtured by the radiance of the sun and moon, and the spirit of heaven and earth. Nature's creations never expend effort to forge connections. They live simply, purely, and happily. Learn to coexist harmoniously. Grass, flowers, trees, mountains, rivers, and stars all coexist harmoniously, regardless of their placement or the challenges they face. They do not bully or oppress one another. Each grows freely without grievance, embracing its circumstances with joy and serenity. Learn to embrace humility. Humans often seek recognition, respect, admiration, and praise, but flowers and other creations in nature never concern themselves with how others perceive them. Even when growing alone, they thrive joyfully and contentedly. They embrace solitude and never act based on others' approval, living freely and unrestrained. Learn to be honest and transparent. While humans can be insincere, hiding their true intentions, nature is candid, sincere, and transparently honest. Its beauty is unreserved and completely genuine. Even animals, when mating, follow principles of mutual consent, never forcing their will upon others. Learn to live in the moment. Humans often dwell in anxiety about the future, burdened by worries and endless preparations. Yet most of nature's creations never concern themselves with tomorrow. They immerse themselves in the present moment, fully enjoying their time. A state of oneness with the Tao that we should aspire to. Learn to give selflessly. Look at the grass. So long as there is water and sunlight, it unfurls its green leaves, embellishing nature with its humble presence. Look at the wildflowers, they bloom beautifully, swaying gracefully, and spreading their fragrance to the world. Birds, after satisfying their hunger, do not hoard but sing and dance in the forest, composing divine symphonies. Nature's creations live without greed or complaints. They never lament misfortune, blame their destiny, or grumble about unfairness. They demand nothing from others and never curse the heavens or the earth for their plight. They give selflessly, expecting nothing in return. Such magnanimity is a lesson for us all. Humans must learn from nature. The teachings of Christ, Buddha, and celestial beings all echo this truth. Being natural is the most beautiful way to live. Deceit and pretense are truly ugly. 新思维变异种瓜不得瓜. New thinking mutation. When you sow melons but reap beans. Jiefeng. April 20, 2010. Sow melons, reap melons. Sow beans, reap beans is a foundational principle in both Buddhist philosophy and ethical jurisprudence. The way of the greatest creator is the way of nature. From the perspective of the way of nature, it is undoubtedly true that sow melons, reap melons. Sow beans, reap beans. I do not deny this fact or its logic. However, when people deviate from the way of the greatest creator, they may find themselves sowing melons but reaping beans, or sowing beans yet harvesting something else entirely. Consider this: at times when you give your genuine feelings, do you receive insincerity in return? When you give your wholehearted love, do you encounter deceit instead? Is your goodwill sometimes misconstrued as ulterior motives by others? Loving parents have always been many throughout history, but where are the truly filial children? If spouses truly love one another, why can't their love endure forever? Why do they sometimes turn cold and indifferent to each other? When calamity strikes, why do they scatter and flee in different directions? Do these scenarios align with the principle of sow melons, reap melons, sow beans, reap beans? On the way of the greatest creator, it is undoubtedly true. Sow melons, reap melons, sow beans, reap beans. But on paths that deviate from the way of the greatest creator, it often turns into sow melons, reap beans, sow beans, reap melons. In the natural world, it is undoubtedly true. Sow melons, reap melons, sow beans, reap beans. However, in human society, in many cases, it becomes sow melons, reap beans, sow beans, reap melons. To elaborate further, in the soil of selfishness, greed, jealousy, resentment, ignorance, deceit, and cunning, no matter what seeds are sown, they will mutate. In such soil, the result is invariably sow melons, reap beans, sow beans, reap melons. Only in the soil of kindness, honesty, trustworthiness, and selflessness can the principle of sow melons, reap melons, sow beans, reap beans hold true. If you wish for sow melons, reap melons, sow beans, reap beans, you must walk on the way of the greatest creator. On any other path, whatever you sow will not yield what you expect. If you ever find yourself sowing melons but reaping something entirely different, understand this. The soil you are using is problematic. That soil does not belong to the way of the greatest creator. In such a case, either improve the soil or stop sowing anything in it altogether. People. If you wish for sow melons, reap melons, sow beans, reap beans. If you wish for your dreams to come true and your aspirations to be fulfilled, you must walk on the way of the greatest creator. Any deviation from this way will inevitably lead to hope turning into despair and comedy transforming into tragedy. 在衣食住行中修行修炼. Practicing self-improvement in daily living. Jiefeng. May 7, 2010. The closer a place is to you, the farther the journey seems. The simplest melody requires the most rigorous training. To perfect the structure of life, it is essential to avoid aiming too high or chasing unreachable ideals. Self-improvement demands dedicated practice in every word and deed. Let hello, I'm sorry, and thank you frequently grace your lips, and keep humility, kindness, and integrity deeply rooted in your heart. Do not act arbitrarily, indulge in selfishness, or engage in arguments and quarrels. Instead, strive for understanding, patience, sincerity, and goodwill toward others. Luxury, wastefulness, and arrogance will corrode and ruin your spirituality, while simplicity, purity, and humility will yield boundless benefits. When performing tasks, always pursue excellence. The smaller the task, the more you should aim for the highest standard. When speaking, Ensure your words are meaningful and truthful. Avoid empty talk, exaggeration, or self-deception. The hardest mountains and rivers to overcome are those of ego and rigid opinions. Pain and fear originate from attachment to self and biased perceptions. The simpler a matter seems, the more attention it deserves. The people closest to you often influence the joys and sorrows of your life the most. Do not seek shortcuts or covet petty gains. Be honest, genuine, and steadfast in fulfilling your responsibilities. When facing adversity, do not halt your progress. Refrain from blaming the heavens or the earth, and let go of anger and resentment. Jealousy and complaints are like cancer to the soul. Only with an open and expansive heart can you step into vast and boundless realms. Work diligently every day, trees grow into forests, and small, consistent efforts will ultimately make you a sage. 自然之道努力与等待. The way of nature. Striving and waiting. Jiefeng. June 22, 2010. What is the saddest thing in life? The wise and the compassionate may have different answers. Some say, the greatest sorrow is parting from loved ones. Others say, no grief is greater than a dead heart. Still, some believe that being destitute, sick, and utterly hopeless is the ultimate tragedy. To me, the saddest thing in life is having no ideals, no hope, no goals, and no direction. To toil through life running endlessly, only to end up empty-handed. Dying without understanding or fulfillment. That is true sadness. Everything in life is like a game. Only life is real. Whether one's life is extraordinary and impactful or humble and ordinary, whether one enjoys a smooth and prosperous life or endures hardships and misfortune, it is all a fleeting performance. A century passes like the blink of an eye. Striving for personal gain ultimately leaves one empty-handed. But there is nothing inherently tragic in this, as long as one lives authentically and gives their best. Whether one dines on delicacies or simple fare, resides in a luxurious villa or a modest hut, a life filled with happiness, freedom, and joy is a successful life. Regardless of one's status, fame, or fortune, a life that is colorful, diverse, and free of monotony is rich and fulfilling. Life is a journey of life on earth. The most important question to ponder is, where does this journey lead? Everyone is a traveler, a passerby in this world, but the destinations differ. Broadly speaking, life has 8 possible endpoints. The heavenly realm, the Elysium world, including the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the celestial islands continent. Returning to the human world, the animal realm, the plant realm, the netherworld, the frozen layer, or the fire refinement layer. Choosing the destination before embarking on the journey is life's most critical task. This means first setting a clear direction and goal, then steadfastly working toward it. With a clear direction, life becomes simple and purposeful. Without it, life is chaotic and aimless, leaving one busy and exhausted, only to find themselves at a sorrowful destination in the end. As Chanyuan Celestials of Life Changyuan, we follow the way of the greatest creator. Our destination is the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the celestial islands continent. Our life's path is clear, to climb steadily toward these realms. Once the direction and goal are set, all that remains is to move forward. Whatever we encounter along the way, whether sunny skies or stormy weather, wide highways or narrow paths, towering mountains or vast plains, it is all part of the scenery. Appreciate it all without attachment, hurry, worry, or fear. Open your heart to the beauty of the sun and moon. Gaze at the distant green mountains and walk with ease and grace. The way of the greatest creator is the way of nature. Everything must be achieved naturally. Being overly eager to attain something or reach a goal violates this principle. When the melon is ripe, it falls from the vine. When water flows, a channel forms. This is the way of nature. Forcing or hastening things goes against the natural flow. Conscious effort must be combined with letting things take their course. Without deliberate effort, one may wander aimlessly, lost in confusion, unable to escape the labyrinth of life or the 36-8 diagram arrays of Tao. But without a mindset of natural acceptance, one becomes anxious, competitive, and impatient, leading to unintended consequences. 30% effort, 70% destiny. To achieve something, fulfill a wish, or realize an ideal, personal effort accounts for 30%. The remaining 70% depends on destiny, on the greatest creator, the way, the program, timing, location, and harmony. These are nature's factors. Human wisdom and effort are inherently limited. If the timing is wrong or the circumstances are unfavorable, all efforts will be in vain. Effort is essential. Heaven helps those who help themselves. There is no free lunch, and the heavens won't drop gifts into your lap. Without effort, one drifts aimlessly, straying from their course and being swept away by the tide. Yet while striving is necessary, success also relies on divine timing, requiring patience and readiness to wait. It's like planting a watermelon. After sowing the seeds, watering, fertilizing, and clearing weeds, we must wait for it to ripen. A watermelon has its own growth and maturation period, and no amount of haste can shorten it. 10 months of pregnancy lead to 1 day of birth. Rushing achieves nothing. As I always say, adapt to circumstances, flow with the changes of fate, act according to your nature, and respond to situations as they arise. This is the way of nature. 挣脱锁链奔向自由. Breaking free from chains and embracing freedom. Jiefeng. June 27, 2010. The purpose of self-improvement and cultivation is to escape the sea of suffering and reach the other shore, to break free from the constraints of the kingdom of necessity and arrive at the kingdom of freedom. More specifically, it is to transcend the mortal world and ascend to heaven. Does heaven truly exist? From a theoretical perspective, heaven appears elusive, intangible, mysterious, and almost dreamlike, something that seems both real and unreal, difficult to believe in, and akin to an illusion of the mind. However, for those living in the second home established by Life Changyuan, the existence of heaven becomes an undeniable reality. People can indeed live in heaven. We have experienced it firsthand and deeply felt its presence. By gradually approaching heaven, we have come to understand that as long as we follow the roadmap to the kingdom of heaven, we can not only experience heavenly life along the journey, but also ultimately reach our destination. The facts speak louder than words. Heaven exists. What is heaven? It is the celestial realm, Buddha's land, the other shore, the kingdom of the greatest creator, higher level life spaces, the kingdom of freedom, the heavenly kingdom, and so forth. To escape the 3 realms and transcend the 5 elements is to break free from the kingdom of necessity and enter the kingdom of freedom, heaven. We now understand that reaching heaven requires overcoming 2 great mountains. One is the mountain of inevitable programs, and the other is the mountain of the Egypt of the soul. The inevitable programs include marriage, family, ethnicity, nation, religion, political parties, and the existing social order and way of life in human society. To reach heaven, one must transcend these programs. If one cannot, heaven will remain unreachable. The Egypt of the soul refers to traits such as jealousy, comparison, resentment, arrogance, anger, possession, control, hatred, dogma, religious commandments, conflict, greed, laziness, intentionality, and so on. Without clearing these mental impurities, one cannot reach heaven. The 3 realms are but mind, and all laws are but consciousness. The environment is created by the mind. Reality is the projection of consciousness. Ultimately, whether we can break free from the chains, cross the 2 mountains, and escape the kingdom of necessity to reach heaven is entirely a matter of consciousness. At its core, this is a question of whether one can attain enlightenment. With enlightenment, all obstacles dissolve. Without it, one remains in darkness, unable to see light regardless of effort, and unable to reach heaven no matter how hard they practice. Enlightenment is a profound subject concerning life and life. It relies on spiritual perception, adherence to truth, scientific principles, and logic. It demands deep contemplation, an understanding of 20 parallel worlds in 36-dimensional spaces, and grasping the essence of time and space. Enlightenment requires knowing the origins of the universe, life, and humanity, understanding one's place in the universe, and being clear about the purpose, value, and meaning of life. Enlightenment requires knowing the connotation of life and the scientific principles of reincarnation. Achieving enlightenment through personal knowledge, experience, and wisdom alone is nearly impossible, as life is too short and time and energy are insufficient. Enlightenment requires drawing from the collective wisdom of humanity, especially that of sages, saints, and enlightened beings such as Jesus, Buddha, Laozi, Muhammad, and others, along with the laws discovered by scientists. Only by absorbing and integrating these insights And pursuing truth with steadfast resolve and a great spiritual aspiration, can one attain enlightenment. The good news is that you no longer need to spend immense time and energy reviewing and mastering these sources of wisdom individually. I have already done this for you. I have condensed thousands of years of human wisdom into the teachings of Life Achanyuan. In some cases, centuries of exploration are summarized in just a few sentences, saving you significant time and effort. By following the roadmap of the guide, your aspirations can be realized and your ideals achieved. This is the work of cosmic providence and a blessing from the greatest creator. You may have doubts about the Life Achanyuan values. This is natural and understandable, as any theoretical system is hard to believe in without practical validation. The reality is that Life Achanyuan not only has a systematic theoretical framework, but has also subjected it to rigorous practical tests. Thus far, these tests have demonstrated that Life Achanyuan's values are correct, realistic, and practicable. With a solid theoretical foundation and the validation of practice, what is there to doubt? If one still hesitates despite the rationality of both theory and practice, they are akin to ignorant, unchangeable deadwood, beyond help, destined to drift and reincarnate endlessly within the programs of the kingdom of necessity. Does this mean that Life Achanyuan's theory and practice are absolutely perfect and the only correct path? Not necessarily. It can only be said that, given the current state of humanity, the values and practices of Life Achanyuan are relatively comprehensive and rational. To strive for perfection, we must continue refining our theoretical understanding and validating it through ongoing practice. It is essential to maintain an open mind, embrace new ideas, perspectives, and methods, and remain vigilant against turning Life Achanyuan into a new form of religion or allowing it to devolve into ideological authoritarianism or dictatorship. The roadmap to the kingdom of heaven is clear, and step-by-step practice has proven it to be a pathway to the kingdom of freedom. I hope everyone perseveres in overcoming the two mountains that stand in the way of reaching heaven, breaking free from inevitable programs and escaping the Egypt of the soul. Break free from the chains and embrace freedom. 辩论是前往天国者修行大忌. Debate, a major taboo for those journeying toward the heavenly kingdom. Jiefeng. July 6, 2010. In the presence of ancestral Buddha, the greatest creator, we can only believe with unwavering faith. To argue with him is to invite endless calamities. In the presence of Christ Jesus, we can only follow. To argue with Christ Jesus is to expose our lack of virtue and capability. In the presence of Shakyamuni, we can only obey. To argue with Shakyamuni is to reveal boundless ignorance. In the presence of Celestial Laozi, we can only listen. To argue with Celestial Laozi is to show arrogance and a lack of character. In the presence of the Prophet Muhammad, we can only submit. To argue with the Prophet Muhammad is to bring upon ourselves endless suffering. Children must not argue with their parents. Citizens must not argue with their heads of state. Students must not argue with their teachers. Disciples must not argue with their masters. Subordinates must not argue with their superiors. Employees must not argue with their employers. Members of Life Achanyuan must not argue with their spiritual guide, Jiefeng. Debate is the hallmark of the ignorant. When one truly understands, what need is there for debate? Debate is the habit of the arrogant. With humility, what need is there for debate? Debate is the nature of the combative. With non-action, what need is there for debate? Debate is the pastime of those who stir up trouble. Those who diligently focus on their tasks have no time for debate. Debate only occurs between equals, those of equivalent wisdom, equivalent ignorance, equivalent character, equivalent interests, or kindred spirits. When the debating parties are unequal or unmatched, debate is impossible. Dogs and donkeys cannot debate. Wolves and sheep cannot debate. Bees and flowers cannot debate. The wise cannot debate with the worldly. Immortals cannot debate with mortals. And Buddhas cannot debate with bodhisattvas. Truth does not emerge from debate. Truth is revealed through meditation and the awakening of spiritual perception. The belief that truth becomes clearer through debate is a reflection of ignorance. Those who truly understand truth find it in nature, not in argument. Debate drains energy, disrupts the mind, and prevents inner peace. Without peace, it is difficult to go far. Places where debates flourish are usually chaotic and filled with toxic energy. Such places are ideal for malevolent spirits and demons to sow disorder. They are not suitable for the cultivation of celestial beings. Separated by distance as if we were without colorful phoenix wings, our hearts understand each other intuitively. Without spiritual resonance, even 10 million years of debate will not clarify basic truths or directions. The three realms of Buddhist cultivation are the Arhat realm, the Bodhisattva realm, and the Buddha realm. Those who lack competitiveness and combative hearts attain the Arhat realm. Those who are free from attachments to self, others, beings, lifespan, dharma, or non-dharma, and who remain unattached to merits while possessing merits, attain the Bodhisattva realm. Those who unite with their innate nature attain the Buddha realm. From this perspective, Arhats, Bodhisattvas, and Buddhas neither enjoy nor engage in debate. When the superior man hears of the way, he diligently practices it. When the average man hears of the way, he sometimes keeps it, sometimes loses it. When the inferior man hears of the way, he laughs at it. If he did not laugh, it would not be the way. Laozi's wisdom reveals that those who enjoy debating are never among the superior but belong to the average or the inferior. No matter how much a herd of cattle debates, it will never understand the ways of humans. Similarly, no matter how much humans debate, they will never comprehend the ways of celestial beings. Members of Life-Chanyuan who engage in debates will never grasp the path to the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. A single guide to the heavenly kingdom surpasses millions of tourists. As travelers, do not argue with your guide. What is there for tourists to debate with their guide? Each tourist need only follow the guide. What is there for tourists to argue about among themselves? Is anything worth debating? If tourists do not trust their guide, they should abandon the guide and proceed along the path they deem correct. Why waste time debating the guide's roadmap? Doubt, skepticism, debate, quarreling, and conflict will never lead one to life's highest realm, let alone the heavenly kingdom. Faith is truth. Love is life. This was true in the past, is true now, and will remain true in the future. 直面真实, Facing reality. 接缝. September 24, 2010. Do you experience pain? Do you face troubles, anxiety, worries, or fears? Do you long to escape suffering and live in a place where life is carefree and free from worries? If your answer is yes, then let me share with you a path to escape the sea of suffering and reach the heavenly kingdom. Face reality. What does it mean to face reality? It means recognizing that you are imperfect and understanding that the root of all your suffering lies in your own imperfections. The world is not at fault, the fault lies within us. In this universe, not a single soul is truly wronged. We must confront our imperfections honestly. When we feel pain in our hearts, we must look within ourselves for the cause instead of blaming heaven, earth, society, or others. Shifting responsibility onto others is easy, but doing so guarantees that your suffering will never disappear. A person who refuses to admit their imperfections and blames others whenever they encounter trouble or pain will never reach a state of happiness, joy, freedom, or bliss, and will never arrive at the heavenly kingdom. I have witnessed all the misfortunes in the human world. I have carefully observed and deeply reflected on human suffering. The cause of every tragedy lies in our own imperfections. Even worse, we refuse to face reality and acknowledge our flaws. Instead, we focus our blame and condemnation on others. Living this way is excessively hypocritical, illusory, vain, and deeply unfortunate. By avoiding ourselves and fearing to confront who we truly are, we condemn ourselves to endless suffering. 傲慢是由于无知. Arrogance stems from ignorance. 接缝. September 24, 2010. The universe is infinitely profound and boundless, while humans are so insignificant that, at times, it seems we are merely another form of biological life. Humans are like circles. The smaller the circle, the smaller the external world. The larger the circle, the larger the external world. In other words, the richer a person's inner content and the deeper their understanding of the universe's mysteries, the more they recognize their own ignorance, and the more likely they are to exhibit humility, modesty, and unpretentiousness. Conversely, the shallower a person's inner content and the less they understand the vast world, the more ignorant they are, and the more they regard themselves as exceptional. Such individuals are prone to anger, stubbornness, rigidity, and dissatisfaction with others. They frequently assume they are always right, finding fault here and there. This mindset causes them to become increasingly aloof, arrogant, and disrespectful. I can state with absolute certainty, arrogance is entirely born of ignorance. Arrogance stemming from ignorance is a touchstone for evaluating the depth of a person's inner content. If we encounter someone whose gaze, tone, or behavior reveals arrogance, we can conclude that this person is ignorant, a decorative pillow stuffed with straw, all appearance and no substance. 禅院草屋必诚实. Chanyuan celestials must be honest. Jiefeng. November 14, 2010. Kindness, diligence, honesty, simplicity, and trustworthiness are the qualities of a perfect person and essential prerequisites for those seeking to enter the heavenly kingdom. Honesty is the best policy. All lies and deceit ultimately lead to self-harm. The wisest individuals are honest. Those with perfect spiritual essence are honest. Those who follow the way are honest. The most intelligent people are honest. The citizens of the heavenly kingdom are all honest. To attain joy, happiness, freedom, and bliss, one must be honest. To free oneself from troubles, suffering, sorrow, and anxiety, one must be honest. To journey to the heavenly kingdom, whether to the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world, one must be honest. Without honesty, everything else is meaningless. Lies, deceit, trickery, cunning, and duplicity are tickets to hell. Playing petty tricks is the hallmark of the foolish. You must be honest. You must face yourself truthfully. You must seek truth from facts and speak truthfully. You must be straightforward, candid, and open-hearted. Do not obscure, exaggerate, or downplay the facts. Do not be indirect or speak with a forked tongue. Do not give others false impressions. If something is true, say it is true. If something is not true, say it is not true. Let your words align with your heart and mind as they leave your lips. I come from the heavenly kingdom and know the affairs of the three realms. The final destination of an honest person is beautiful, while the final destination of a deceitful person is tragic. No matter what situation you face, even if it means suffering losses, being taken advantage of, or enduring hardship, you must remain honest. It is better to die with honesty than to live with deceit. To die honestly is to live in truth. To live deceitfully is to perish in illusion. I am a speaker of truth, and my words are without falsehood. As long as you are honest, I guarantee that you will have a beautiful reality in future. 常常在太阳下暴晒. Frequently expose yourself to the sun. Jiefeng. November 19, 2010. Many objects, if kept away from sunlight for too long, will rot, mold, stink, or deteriorate. Sunlight dispels evil, kills germs, detoxifies, boosts energy, and strengthens the body. Regularly exposing objects to sunlight keeps them fresh, clean, and prolongs their lifespan. Human thoughts are like objects. If hidden for too long without exposure, they become filthy, corrupt, tainted, and gradually deviant. The public is like the sun, capable of restraining erroneous thoughts and making them difficult to conceal. By regularly sharing your thoughts openly with others, you ensure that your thinking remains upright, pure, bright, and healthy. Thoughts, in essence, are what we contemplate, ponder, worry about, and dwell on. We must have the courage to expose these thoughts to public scrutiny, allowing others to examine, evaluate, and correct them. By doing so, we can maintain clear and proper thinking. If we shy away from sharing our thoughts, they can easily lead us to incorrect actions, disrupt our lives, and in severe cases, take us down a path of evil. A bright, open, and honest life is a life lived in the sunlight. A life in the sunlight knows no darkness or filth. Someone who frequently has the courage to reveal their thoughts and worries publicly, even if those thoughts are wrong, absurd, laughable, or ridiculous, is nevertheless lovable, respectable, bright, and simple and honest. Thus, regardless of what we think, feel, or worry about, it is crucial to regularly expose these to the light of day. This practice is essential for refining and elevating our character. 自私是烦恼之源. Selfishness is the source of worry. Jiefeng. November 29, 2010. Do you have worries? Take a moment to think carefully. Trace the root cause of each instance of worry and conduct an analysis. You'll eventually find that the source of our worries is not other people, society, or nature, but our own selfishness. Whenever we begin a thought or action with our own interests in mind, troubles, distress, anxiety, and pain inevitably follow. Life is filled with unpleasantries. 9 out of 10 things often don't go as we wish. Why is this? The root cause lies in selfishness. You are selfish. He is selfish. I am selfish. The entire human society is a swamp of selfishness, and thus no one can escape pain. The wars and conflicts between nations, ethnic groups, religions, political parties, and interest groups, all of which result in worry, stem from human selfishness. Likewise, the disagreements, estrangements, clashes, and disputes between siblings, relatives, friends, colleagues, and all individuals originate from selfishness. Emotions like jealousy, resentment, anger, blame, criticism, and laziness, as well as greed and possessiveness, are also rooted in selfishness. The desire to own, occupy, dominate, or seize stems from the same source. Wherever selfishness goes, it leaves fear and unease in its wake. Wherever selfishness passes, troubles, distress, worries, pain, sorrow, and anxiety grow like wild grass, inseparable and ever-present. What you sow, so shall you reap. Plant the seeds of selfishness, and you will inevitably harvest the fruits of worry. There's no escaping it. Some say, if people don't look out for themselves, they'll be doomed. Indeed, as long as we are human, we are bound to have selfishness. However, the degree of selfishness varies. The deeper the selfishness, the greater the worries. The lesser the selfishness, the fewer the worries. To free yourself from worries, you must reduce selfishness. A truly selfless person has no worries. You might argue, I'm not selfish, but the people around me and the world I live in are selfish, so my worries come from their selfishness. This reasoning only scratches the surface. The deeper cause still lies in your own selfishness. If you were truly selfless, no matter how selfish others might be, they couldn't cause you worry. If someone strikes my left cheek, I'll offer my right cheek as well. If someone takes my belongings, I'll let them have them. If someone harms me, I'll invite them to harm me further. I won't resist. I won't retaliate. If someone wants to kill me and take my life, so be it. Take it. After all, I've entrusted my life to the greatest creator and my life to the Tao. Everything operates according to cause and effect. No one is wronged in this universe. You reap what you sow. Good deeds are rewarded with good outcomes and evil deeds with bad outcomes, not immediately, but when the time comes, it will be repaid. The universe maintains balance between positive and negative energy. What you give and what you receive are always proportional. Nothing happens by chance. Whatever I must endure is the result of my own karma. What I don't deserve will not befall me because the Tao operates with meticulous fairness. As long as I walk the path of the greatest creator, everything is as it should be. I will neither rush nor fret, neither rejoice nor grieve. Even if I face starvation or freezing, I will accept it with equanimity. Everything I have belongs to the greatest creator. I'm willing to offer up even my life. If someone wants to eat my flesh, drink my blood, or take my life, I will not harbor resentment or seek revenge. I am willing to give everything, including my life, selflessly. When one reaches such a state, can there still be worry? Even if the world around you is selfish, filled with unrestrained selfishness, what does it have to do with you? The reasoning is clear. Take a look at heaven, then at hell. It's not hard to conclude that the more selfless a life is, the closer they are to heaven. The more selfish a life is, the deeper they dwell in hell. You might say, I can't go to heaven, so I cannot see heaven, nor can I see hell. Well then, compare the lives of those in traditional society with those in the second home of life genuine. Who experiences fewer worries? Those living in traditional society have far more worries than those in the second home. Why? The root cause is the difference in levels of selfishness. Those in the second home are less selfish, so they live with fewer worries. From this reasoning, it's easy to conclude, selfishness is the root of all worries. The more selfless and advanced a life, the closer they are to heaven. The more selfish and inferior a life, the closer they are to hell. People are often confused, saying, if I'm not selfish, how will I survive? Actually, survival is not something we need to worry about. What we need to worry about is the path we walk. If we walk the path of the greatest creator, everything will be naturally arranged, and everything will be guaranteed. There's no need to worry because the greatest creator knows exactly what we need and will take care of us. You might be concerned, what if the greatest creator doesn't see me? What if the greatest creator forgets me? What if the greatest creator falls asleep? If you have such worries, it proves you don't truly know the greatest creator, don't truly understand the greatest creator, and don't have the greatest creator in your heart. That is the source of confusion. There is no greater curse than greed, no greater disaster than dissatisfaction. The profound teachings of Lao Tzu are not deception but the wisdom of truth. Of course, you may not fully believe my words, but you can test them in life to see the results. I can confidently say that if you think and act as I suggest, joy, happiness, freedom, and bliss will find their way to you. Not only that, but your future will also become increasingly beautiful. Conversely, troubles, worries, and pains will persist if you continue as you are, and a beautiful future will remain out of reach. I am a messenger of the greatest creator, an incarnation of gods, Buddhas, and celestial beings. You may choose not to believe this and dismiss it as nonsense. I understand the mysteries of the universe, life, causality, time-space, and human existence. You may doubt or outright disbelieve this too. But the truths I speak are simple and implementing them is equally simple. Selfishness is the root of worry. Selflessness eradicates it. Facts speak louder than words. Try it and see the results for yourself. The sage is selfless and thereby achieves personal fulfillment. 建设心灵花园与拷贝千年界生活 Building the Soul Garden and Copying the Life of the Thousand-Year World. Jiefeng. December 5, 2010. By combining theory with practice, consciousness with action, cultivation with self-improvement, and essence with manifestation, we ultimately strive for consistency in word and deed, harmony inside and out, unity between heaven and humanity, and oneness with the Tao. Eliminating all forms of pretense and deception is one of the paths for the sublimation of Chanyuan celestials. Pretense and deception lead to a split between divine wisdom and human intelligence, alienating people from the greatest creator, truth, from nature, and causing the separation of spirit from body, the mind from truth, kindness, beauty, love, faith, and sincerity, and life from its source. This results in confusion and chaos in life, driving life further away from the greatest creator and toward more painful and sorrowful spaces. Words reveal the heart, and actions reflect intent. A single lie or insincere statement exposes inner pretense and cowardice. A false expression that does not come from the heart or an unnatural gesture betrays anxiety and hypocrisy within. A society filled with falseness inevitably distances itself from truth, kindness, beauty, love, faith, and sincerity. Such a society becomes chaotic, restless, and haunted by drifting souls, a society of misery and misfortune. Similarly, a person radiating falsehood is someone lacking faith, a foundation, and inner peace, burdened by envy, resentment, hatred, selfishness, greed, and arrogance. Such a person is bound to suffer from continuous troubles, anxiety, fear, and pain. Facts are the standard for assessing the state of the soul. Each individual can examine their inner world through their deeds to determine whether it is beautiful or ugly. If our words and actions are inconsistent, and we emit falseness to those around us, then our soul is in a state of ugliness and chaos. We must continuously verify our progress through facts, and measure the level of our cultivation through self-improvement. Regardless of how eloquent or beautiful our words may sound, if our actions are filled with pretense and falsehood, our noble ideals, aspirations, and future will be nothing more than illusions. To build the soul garden is to clear out its filth and waste. What constitutes the filth and waste of the soul? These include jealousy, comparison, complaint, resentment, indignation, anger, hatred, blame, pretense, falsehood, arrogance, cunning, cruelty, cowardice, selfishness, greed, laziness, sloppiness, disorder, pessimism, negativity, flattery, sycophancy, doubt, despondency, worry, melancholy, and depression. In their place, we should cultivate and nurture truth, kindness, beauty, love, faith, sincerity, tranquility, harmony, openness, selflessness, diligence, courage, cleanliness, orderliness, simplicity, honesty, optimism, and positivity in our soul garden, allowing these virtues to flourish. Regularly test the state of your soul's garden through life experiences. One whose garden is well built lives each day with joy, happiness, freedom, and contentment, filled with gratitude and rarely consumed by anger, complaints, or hatred. The ultimate test is whether we can harmoniously integrate into the copied life of the 1,000-year world. The first step is to see if we can live harmoniously in the second home on Earth. The second step is to integrate seamlessly into the copied life of the 1,000-year world. The third step is to transition from the copied 1,000-year world life to that of the 10,000-year world, and finally, to enter the celestial island continent of the Elysium world. Theories must be validated through practice. The reality of the heavenly kingdom must also be confirmed through practical steps. The progress of our cultivation and self-improvement must be tested through daily life. Anything that cannot withstand scrutiny is illusory, devoid of true value, a waste of time and self-deceptive. Whether we ascend or descend, the most effective method is to choose the correct reference frame and object of comparison. Without such a guide, it is difficult to grasp the standard. Our current reference frame for ascension is the 1,000-year world, and the reference model is the awareness and lifestyle of the celestials within it. Let us take the 1,000-year world as the standard for ascension and build the soul garden accordingly. Through the upcoming copied life of the 1,000-year world, we can validate and perfect ourselves, laying a solid foundation for achieving our ultimate aspirations. 不要以消极悲剧惩罚亲人. Do not punish loved ones with negativity and tragedy. Jiefeng. December 22, 2010. Disagreements, arguments, and dissatisfaction are inevitable when interacting with loved ones. When misunderstandings, disagreements, or frustrations arise, how should we handle them? Remember, never resort to negative, destructive, or tragic emotions and methods to address or resolve them. Many of life's pains, worries, and tragedies stem from incorrect ways of handling relationships with loved ones. Children often use tantrums and crying to coerce their parents. However, children who frequently cry and throw tantrums tend to be less likable. Parents should correct such behavior promptly, encouraging children to express their wishes clearly and helping them resolve their concerns. Otherwise, children who rely on crying and tantrums may grow up to experience frequent dissatisfaction in life. Parents sometimes respond to disobedient children with harsh words or threats, even going so far as to declare that they'll sever parent-child relationships. This is not ideal. Instead, parents should remain calm and use gentle reasoning to guide their children with understanding and care. Between spouses, it's common to see arguments resolved with dramatic acts like crying, yelling, or threatening suicide, or escalating to insults, violence, or even threats with weapons. Such approaches are utterly wrong and only exacerbate conflicts, making reconciliation even harder. Among siblings, in-laws, or extended family, disharmony is often dealt with through cold indifference, gossiping behind each other's backs, blame, avoidance, or cutting off contact. These methods not only fail to alleviate inner frustrations and conflicts, but also deepen life's pain and misfortune. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people commit suicide worldwide, and strained family relationships are a significant factor in many cases. Often, suicide is not born out of genuine despair, but is an extreme attempt to punish their loved ones. This method of punishment leaves those left behind devastated, racked with guilt, and in unspeakable pain. Crying, yelling, throwing tantrums, losing one's temper, hysterical outbursts, breaking things, indifference, blaming, jealousy, ignoring, constant criticism, insults, suppression, verbal abuse, physical violence, hurtful remarks, running away, severing ties, or suicide. These are all negative, destructive, and pessimistic ways to handle conflicts. Using such methods to punish loved ones or oneself in an attempt to retaliate is a significant misstep in life. As the saying goes, like breeds like. An apple tree bears apples, and thorny bushes make the path impassable. The laws of attraction and visualized thinking make it clear. Things of the same frequency resonate, and similar natures attract one another. Beauty attracts beauty, and ugliness attracts ugliness. Negative, destructive, and pessimistic emotions will only invite more negativity, destruction, and despair. A tragedy cannot create a comedy. To cultivate warm, harmonious relationships with loved ones, we must rely on positive, constructive, and optimistic approaches. Whenever you are tempted to handle family matters with negative, pessimistic, or passive methods, pause and remind yourself, these are my loved ones. How can I approach my loved ones with ugliness in my heart and on my face? No. Absolutely not. I must handle and resolve our relationships with peace, tolerance, understanding, and love. Who are our loved ones? Those who share our bloodline are our family. Those who have raised or cared for us are our family. According to Life Achanuan's teachings inspired by Jesus Christ, anyone who follows the path of the greatest creator is also our family. Life Achanuan has developed a comprehensive value system for handling relationships among loved ones. For example, jealousy is a manifestation of a soul's ugliness. Complaints are poisonous arrows. The heart of comparison is the heart of malice. Praise more, criticize less. Avoid picking faults or blaming. Do not speak ill of others behind their backs. Never use loved ones as a dumping ground for negative emotions. The second home, created by Life Achanuan, practices these principles, and the results are clear. Members live in warmth and harmony, with minimal occurrences of disputes, arguments, or conflicts. This is because we follow the principles of attraction and visualize thinking. In summary, if you wish for a happy life and a bright future, do not punish your loved ones with negativity or tragedy. 向传统亲人开炮. Bombard the traditional family. Jiefeng. March 4, 2011. Who are our family members? This is an essential question in life that we must understand. Is the purpose of life simply to exist? Is it to live like insects, wild animals, or livestock, merely surviving because we must? If someone spends their life burdened with heavy loads and pressures, just barely getting by, what value or meaning does such a life hold? The purpose of life is to achieve joy, happiness, freedom, and fulfillment, nothing else. Life is not about redemption, completing some mission, fulfilling responsibilities or obligations, propagating offspring, serving family, religion, political parties, nations, or the world, nor about sacrificing for justice, ideals, or truth. It is about enjoying the pleasures of life and the essence of existence. If a person lives without joy, happiness, freedom, or fulfillment, what's the point of living? What value does such a life have for the individual? To die under such circumstances would be truly tragic. Life should revolve around achieving joy, happiness, freedom, and fulfillment. Any other reasons are an insult to and destruction of life and existence. Therefore, we need to redefine what family members truly mean. What are family members? Answer. Family members are those who bring us joy, happiness, freedom, and fulfillment. Anyone who brings us these qualities is our family. Conversely, anyone who brings us trouble, pain, sadness, anxiety, or fear is not our family. Our grandparents, grandfathers, grandmothers, maternal grandfathers, and maternal grandmothers are family? This is hard to say. If they bring us joy, happiness, freedom, and fulfillment, they are our family. If not, they are merely our parents' parents and not truly our family. Are parents our family? It depends on whether our parents bring us joy, happiness, freedom, and fulfillment. If they fail to bring these and instead bring us trouble, pain, responsibilities, obligations, pressure, suppression, and destruction, then our parents are merely our creditors and not true family. Does simply giving birth to and raising me make someone my family? No. The fact that my parents gave birth to and raised me was their own choice, not mine. They decided to bring me into this difficult, crisis-filled world without my consent. Since they brought me here, it is their duty to raise me. They should not claim that everything they did was for me, because the reality is that it was for themselves. If it were truly for me, they would not have brought me into this world of suffering and danger in the first place. If they had to bring me here, they should have created an environment where I could experience joy, happiness, freedom, and fulfillment. Otherwise, why bring me into this world at all? Are children our family? The same logic applies. If children bring us joy, happiness, freedom, and fulfillment, then they are family. Otherwise, they are merely the result of past life karmic debts, either as creditors or debtors. My only purpose is to collect or repay debts through them. Are siblings our family? It's hard to say. It depends on whether siblings bring us joy, happiness, freedom, and fulfillment. If they do, they are family. If not, they are merely childhood playmates or companions on the journey of life. Are spouses family? There's a saying, spouses are enemies. Whether they are family depends on whether they bring joy, happiness, freedom, and fulfillment to one another. If they don't, what qualifies them as family? What about distant relatives like aunts, uncles, and cousins? Again, this depends on whether they bring joy, happiness, freedom, and fulfillment. Every adult should carefully consider and honestly ask themselves, from whom have I received joy, happiness, freedom, and fulfillment in my life? I would say that the joy, happiness, freedom, and fulfillment in life have largely been brought to us by nature, which is the greatest creator, and partly through our own labor, creation, and selfless contributions. Some of it has come from people who are not traditionally considered family. Meanwhile, the so-called traditional family members have more often brought us trouble, pain, responsibilities, obligations, debt, repression, shackles, anxiety, fear, disappointment, and despair. What Jesus said is true. A man's enemies will be the members of his own household. Think about it. Who were the ones who first held us back on the path to the kingdom of freedom? Wasn't it those traditional family members who always say, "I'm doing this for your own good"? Goodbye. Family. 因果循环一切必然. The cycle of cause and effect. Everything is inevitable. Jiefeng. March 5, 2011. How has your life been? Good or not so good? Satisfactory or unsatisfactory? I say, whether it is satisfactory or not, it is all fate. Our current circumstances in this life have already been determined by the actions of our past lives. They are difficult to alter. They've been written into the script. No matter how we struggle, we can only follow the plot. We are not in control and cannot change much. Do I have evidence for this? Yes. Everything that Bodhidharma said holds true. Bodhidharma stated, "To know the causes of the past life, look at what you are enduring in this life. To know the outcomes of the future life, look at what you are doing in this life." To endure means to accept, bear, or shoulder. It signifies inevitability. There's no escape. This word alone reveals that everything in this life is a result we are compelled to face. So, if you are poor in this life, don't complain. If you encounter unreasonable people, face them calmly without hatred. If misfortunes befall you, accept them with composure. When blessings come, enjoy them. When suffering arrives, endure it. What is destined to come will come, and what is destined to leave will leave. Rushing changes nothing. What about our future? What about our next life? To uncover the answer, observe what you are doing in this life. To know the outcomes of the future life, look at what you are doing in this life. Everything in this life is already predestined. What we do now lays the groundwork for the future. If in this life we remain jealous, resentful, comparative, angry, hateful, arrogant, selfish, possessive, or domineering, we shouldn't expect to reach heaven in the next life. I've said before that the Chanyuan celestials in Life Changyuan are not educated or cultivated. They are destined by heaven. That is why I search for Chanyuan celestials rather than cultivating them. Whether someone is a Chanyuan celestial has already been determined by the karma of their past lives. The cycle of cause and effect is inevitable. By walking in the way of the greatest creator, reaching the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent is also inevitable. 不懂爱的人感受不到别人的爱. Those who do not understand love cannot feel the love of others. Jiefeng. March 19, 2011. What is the most brilliant, beautiful, sacred, solemn, captivating, mesmerizing, pure, pristine, perfect, soul-stirring thing in the universe? Something that makes one willing to endure any hardship, face any suffering, and even give their life for it. The answer is love. The greatest creator himself is love. This means that the more love a life embodies, the closer it is to the greatest creator, the more aligned it is with him, and the more it resembles him. Those who attain the highest state of love are sublimated into super-celestial beings, and this is the principle behind it. What is love? Love can only be intuitively understood. It is difficult to express in words. If we must define it, love is a selfless devotion without any conditions. Sacrificing oneself is not love. Love does not involve sacrifice. It is only filled with profound joy and bliss. If someone feels they have sacrificed something for others in the name of love, they are gravely mistaken. Such an attitude desecrates and insults the sacredness of love. Today, I realize that when people commonly talk about love, they often misunderstand its true essence and misuse the term. What they mean is not love but liking. For example, when someone says, "I love you," what they often mean is, "I like you." A person whose soul garden is untended, filled with weeds, cannot truly understand love. If someone harbors jealousy, comparisons, resentment, anger, selfishness, arrogance, possessiveness, controlling tendencies, greed, or other weeds of the heart, they will never taste the essence of love. What is the essence of love? To use an extreme metaphor, it's like the object of your love plunging a knife into your heart, and you find it so wonderful, so comforting, so soul-stirring that you say, "Oh God, thank you for this greatest blessing." Does this sound like a case of sadism and masochism? No, absolutely not. Because the knife is wielded by the object of your love, not by anyone else. Only you can experience and comprehend this deeply. Love is not something to be spoken lightly or casually. Once spoken, it becomes a promise. If that promise is not upheld, it becomes a heavy burden and a debt. Love should be shared with those who understand love. Speaking of love to someone who does not understand it is futile. It's like trying to discuss emotions with a cow. If you are going to love those who understand love. For those who do not, no matter how deeply you love them, they will not be able to experience or feel it. It's like feeding grass to cows, sheep, or horses, or feeding meat to lions, tigers, or leopards, or feeding soil to earthworms. Cows, sheep, and horses will not eat meat. Lions, tigers, and leopards will not eat grass. When your love is not understood by others, do not be angry. Understand that the one you love still needs to go through a process of perfection. The fewer the weeds in a person's soul garden, the more they can understand love. 杂文篇，流动的价值和意义。The value and significance of flow. Jiefeng. December 9, 2024. All things, events, and phenomena are manifestations of the greatest Creator's words. The changes we observe in the world represent the greatest Creator's dialogue with humanity. To understand the revelations contained in all things and events is to comprehend the will of the greatest Creator. When we read, our first focus should be on the wordless heavenly book. This book, composed of all things, events, and phenomena, is the most miraculous of all. Nature itself is the most valuable text, far surpassing any religious scriptures or the teachings of spiritual masters. From this wordless heavenly book, we can discern the value and significance of flow. The ocean flows because of its currents. Rivers flow because of differences in elevation. Clouds flow due to the interplay of heat and cold. It is precisely because of the flow in oceans, rivers, and clouds that Earth experiences wind, clouds, rain, and snow, creating the resources and environment necessary for countless forms of life to thrive and multiply. The phrase "a stagnant pool" aptly describes water that does not flow. When water ceases to flow, it stagnates, deteriorates, and begins to rot, emitting foul odors. Stagnant water becomes a breeding ground for countless bacteria and viruses, harming the surrounding life. The same principle applies to money, a human invention. Currency only holds value when it flows. For example, a 100 yuan bill becomes more valuable as it passes from Zhongshan to Lixi, then from Lixi to Wangwu, and finally to Zhaolu. The faster it circulates and the more people it passes through, the greater its value. However, if that 100 yuan bill is locked away in a bank or someone's wallet and does not circulate, it holds no value or significance for society. Consider human society. Countries, ethnic groups, businesses, companies, and families where people flow frequently tend to be more prosperous, advanced, and civilized. Flow effectively prevents the emergence of bacteria and viruses. Conversely, systems that restrict the movement of people often become stagnant pools. In such environments, interpersonal relationships grow strained, conflicts and tensions increase, cases of depression and suicide rise, and the society regresses into inflexibility, ignorance, and stagnation. From this, we can deduce a fundamental truth. Flow is the most effective way to maintain vitality in life, the most direct method for creating wealth, and the key to achieving joy, freedom, happiness, and well-being. Understanding the value and significance of flow implies that, as a nation, one must open its doors, encouraging citizens to venture abroad and welcoming people from other countries to enter. Establishing mechanisms for the free flow of people ensures that a nation will prosper and become more civilized. For businesses, internal personnel must also circulate. For example, in a company with 8 branches, staff members should rotate among the branches. Employees from branch A can move to branch B, those from branch B to branch C, and so forth. Such practices infuse the company with vitality and help resolve conflicts and frustrations that may arise from people working together in the same place for too long. As individuals, one should not cling to a single location or relationship. Changing where one lives and works, as well as the people one interacts with, keeps the mind agile and fosters intellectual growth. This is why the world of great harmony, with no national borders and the free movement of people, will bring humanity joy, freedom, happiness, and well-being. 全球分工协作的价值和意义. The value and significance of global division of labor and collaboration. Jiefeng, December 11, 2024. Imagine a scenario where 8 individuals live on Earth. Would it be better for them to divide tasks and collaborate, or for each to fend for themselves? In a collaborative division of labor, one person provides food for everyone, another provides clothing, a third builds housing, one ensures transportation, another supplies electricity, one manufactures tools, another offers entertainment and education, and one handles healthcare and end-of-life services. Each person utilizes their strengths to serve the group. In a self-reliant scenario, each individual grows and cooks their own food, weaves their own clothes, builds their own home, repairs roads, generates electricity, makes tools, cuts their own hair, crafts coffins, and handles medical care and burial. The comparison is clear. Division of labor and collaboration far surpass self-reliance in terms of efficiency, cost reduction, resource optimization, and wealth creation. It also allows individuals to maximize their talents and make effective use of resources. Now, let us consider the current state of the world. If we think of nations as the 8 individuals mentioned earlier, are these nations engaging in division of labor and collaboration, or are they acting independently? At present, each country grows its own food, manufactures steel, produces machinery, builds automobiles, develops aircraft, and strives to create its own chips, all while aiming to avoid dependency on others. Every nation seeks to establish a comprehensive system encompassing agriculture, industry, information, services, and military. Essentially, this approach mirrors self-reliance rather than collaboration. Each country has unique geographic, climatic, and natural resource conditions, as well as varying levels of technological development and education. By focusing on their strengths, avoiding weaknesses, embracing global integration, and fostering mutual benefits, nations can optimize the use of global resources. For example, a China could specialize in producing clothing, toys, and daily necessities for the world. A Russia could focus on natural gas, fertilizers, and wheat production. The United States could lead in global education, technological innovation, and security. A Germany could excel in machinery and equipment manufacturing. A Japan could specialize in small automobiles and home appliances. A Zimbabwe might develop tourism and elderly care industries. If each country were to fully leverage its strengths, engage in the exchange of goods and services on a global scale, operate with zero tariffs, and embrace the concept of a united global family, combined with the free movement of people, this Earth could truly become a paradise. We must acknowledge 2 fundamental realities. Different regions possess unique natural advantages. In every field, certain individuals have exceptional talents. By fully utilizing natural resources and human talent, we can significantly reduce costs, minimize waste, and maximize efficiency. Should Bangladesh develop a space program? Should Mongolia focus on naval endeavors? Should Zambia spearhead technological innovation? Or Ethiopia heavy industry? Clearly not, as they lack the necessary conditions. Similarly, asking Elon Musk to raise rabbits, Mark Zuckerberg to craft wine, Ren Zhengfei to serve as a small-town mayor, or a soprano like Maria Callas to build houses would waste their exceptional talents. The benefits of division of labor and collaboration include maximizing the use of natural advantages, effectively mobilizing talent, reducing production costs, enhancing efficiency, and achieving better outcomes across all sectors. Chess players understand that each piece, king, knight, rook, bishop, pawn, has its unique role and capabilities. Exceeding those limits leads to inefficiency. If we view the world as a chessboard, with each country and ethnicity contributing its unique abilities, humanity would reap endless benefits. Of course, this is an ideal state. In reality, self-interest and greed hinder such collaboration. Yet, It is the direction humanity must strive toward for sustainable existence on this planet. Competition is not the hallmark of an advanced civilization. Playing to strengths, dividing labor, collaborating, and serving one another are the principles that a civilized society should uphold. 千刀万剐唤不醒人. 1,000 cuts won't awaken people. Jiefeng. December 24, 2024. The idea that people cannot be awakened by words, but only through society's brutal beatings is widespread online. Some claim that 1% of people awaken through the guidance of enlightened individuals, while the other 99% must endure the 1,000 cuts of harsh reality before they can wake up. I want to say this: relying on beatings and 1,000 cuts doesn't awaken people. It drives them into decline, decadence, or even savagery and cruelty. Our grandfathers were beaten and subjected to 1,000 cuts. Their grandfathers experienced the same. So why would people today awaken from such treatment? Our parents' marriages were unhappy, filled with quarrels. Our grandparents' marriages were equally unhappy and quarrelsome. Their grandparents' marriages were no different. Does this mean people today have awakened to the problems of marriage? If it weren't for urbanization, the proliferation of the internet, and the rising costs of living forcing people to reconsider, most would still step into marriage as before. Who has truly awakened? Many live in constant pain and worry every day. They reach the age of 50, 60, 70, or even 80, yet they remain trapped in their pain and worries. Have these hardships awakened them? Not at all. A daughter-in-law endures hardship until she becomes a mother-in-law. But once she becomes a mother-in-law, does she spare her own daughter-in-law? No, she perpetuates the same torment her mother-in-law inflicted upon her. How many daughters-in-law and mothers-in-law have truly awakened? What is the result of society's beatings and 1,000 cuts? Every day, tens of thousands of people commit suicide. Is this their so-called awakening? Generation after generation has been subjected to beatings and 1,000 cuts, and this has already broken their spines. Even if someone manages to awaken, their backbone is gone. What can they possibly achieve? How can they contribute positively to society? Even in the exceedingly rare cases where someone awakens through beatings and 1,000 cuts and chooses to resist, such individuals, once they seize power, often turn around and inflict the same beatings and cuts upon others. It is rare for them to become compassionate Buddhas or